me and Ryan have been officially welcomed to the jungle that is Barstool Sports.
Our white whale, Sidney Crosby.
Shave his head! Shave his head! Shave his head!
Ryan Whitney, Paul Bissonette, R.A., Mike Grinelli, Spittin Chiclets.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 571 of the Spittin Chiclets podcast. And oh my God, what a week we have in store. We have Canada Day, we have 4th of July, and all of those amazing holidays involve a little Pink Whitney, hopefully, because Pink Whitney can make your holidays even more special. What you're out on the boat, right, up in Muskoka, or in Biz's best boating area in the world, Victoriaville, even though it's on the ocean. Or if you're down the Jersey Shore.
Victoriaville.
If you're down the Jersey Shore and you're running amok being trashy, just have Pink Whitney. Just take a sip. Just try a drink and enjoy, whether you're celebrating Canada's national birthday or the United States' national birthday. Let's bring Pink Whitney all in together as one. And shout out Memes. It's Memes' birthday. He says his barrel. He says his barrel has a MILF orbit around it. Apparently, all the old MILFs love his barrel and his NASCAR look. So shout out Canada, United States, and Memes, and shout out Pink Whitney. Go get the big old bottle. That'll last you the whole holiday, guys.
Is there anything more Canadian than Memes?
No. But he's also Floridian. He fits in well with both. He's a chameleon. He's a genuine. Just kind of hockey-loving Canadian at heart, but he's a piece of trash Floridian at heart, too. So I think he's going to fit in wherever he ends.
Like, basically looks like a NASCAR booster. Like, he's got all the NASCAR shirts. He's got Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Keith said he is the 51st state. But we're not doing that discussion this week. It's our birthday. It's your birthday. Is Canada Day your birthday?
You're asking me?
Yeah. Not yours, your country's. Like, 4th of July is our birthday.
Yes.
It's your birthday.
Canada Day, yes.
And how many years is that for you?
Oh, here we go. I didn't know I was getting the fucking SATs this early in the podcast. I can't even recite the national anthem without reading the words off it, for crying out loud. Not a good memorizer.
Under 100.
Really, I want to thank Whit for opening up Pandora's box here. I'm going to direct my attention back over to Memes. How about when we were down in Florida and he was in your putting green in the backyard and he just, like, he had his shorts up his cornhole? What was that about? Is that
I don't know.
Memes
I sold that house, though. I
you
sold that house. It's gone, yeah. As soon as I saw
homeless?
that.
You're now homeless?
Yeah, I'm living in Memes' house in London. I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, I do a nice thing, allow the boys to come over, do a podcast, and all of a sudden I see on Instagram is Memesy in a thong just putting away on my putting green. It's like,
you have young daughters.
Yeah, it's a neighborhood. There's families around. Like,
you probably had to give the birds and the bees chat after that one with how far those fucking shorts were up his cornholio.
He was a cartoon. They were like, who is that guy that looks like a cartoon character? I'm like, oh, that's Memesy. It's his birthday.
Or the grizzly bear and wildebeest combo. I mean, that's not birds and bees. That's just big old thick. Oh my God.
Oh, hey, I will say, for the little barrel and maybe what I expected of those legs, not bad legs. He got a little bit of hamstring definition. He looks like he's got some tight IT bands.
I think he has maybe a rash on his legs, though. If you look at the bottom,
he should be using the moisturizer that I was. That's the problem. I used it all up.
I could be the first to admit I would trade for those legs any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, those legs, my legs, everyone knows they're bad. Memes' legs, I agree. Besides seeing his asshole, I was very impressed by the legs. I was like, those are pretty nice, Memes.
And for those of you listening and not watching on our Spittin Chiclets YouTube channel that now has 413,000 subscribers, sometimes we pull up the picture online so we can describe it and go over it. So for those of you who don't watch the YouTube channel, you might be confused sometimes when we're breaking something down that you're not seeing. So, hey, check us out over here if you guys want. But back over to you, Whit. You guys, I thought you were in Nantucket.
No, I'm going over there. I hope to be going over there Tuesday afternoon. if not Wednesday morning, for America's birthday. I believe this will be our 249th birthday. I'm being told right here by Fish that you're turning 158 years old on Tuesday. So that's amazing. We got you by, close to 100 years, but we work together. It's a Pink Whitney Canada Day, 4th of July episode, draft, free agency. I'll be over there soon with Keith. The Y3K, the Yandle Hockey Camp, the week after the 4th of July, where kids from all over the world fly into Nantucket to skate around for a couple hours under the guidance of Keith and Brian Yandle. So I can't wait.
Don't forget your skates, Whitty. You're going to be out there, baby.
Yeah, congrats, Keith. So it's just a way to give back to Bostonians and I guess the community over there in Nantucket?
Yeah, so I didn't even know that there's a rink here till my first year living here. Went over there one day. I'm like, oh my god, this is the rink is beautiful. They just put the ice down. It got finished today, so it's going to be fresh, ready to go. Is there anything better in the world than some fresh ice? Even though we're out of hockey mode right now, we're getting into the summertime. Going over to that rink the other day and just getting the smells of an old school rink.
Oh, yeah.
And best part about this rink, Biz, there's a Chinese food restaurant
I
right
thought it
in there.
closed. I heard it was Thai food, and I believe it's closed now. Did you go over there?
So I didn't see if they were open or not, but yeah, maybe they did. I'm not sure. I hope not, because it's a nice little treat after a couple hours on the sheet.
Oh,
get a little crab rangoon.
I might actually come back and join it. I was going to, but we've gotten so deep into the summer with TNT doing the Stanley Cup final and just. I mean, even like you guys said, just mentioned with free agencies coming up, and then the draft, which there's been a lot of signings and craziness going on. It's really hard to even dial out of hockey. Like Twitter is fucking exploding, especially just before we hopped on with the Nyes deal. But going back to Nantucket, if you could describe your most perfect weekend in Nantucket, how would you do so? Because you guys get to spend a bunch of time together.
For me, it's one of my favorite things to do here is. Go to the beach at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, where you kind of getting there at the end of the day. And then you can put I have a little pizza machine. You can put it on the back of your truck, drive onto the beach, and then fire up some pizzas or whatever you got going. Eat at the beach, stay there till about 8:30, and then you're home. Kids are in bed and everyone's going to sleep.
You watch the sunset there?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Whit, you do that? You got the mini pizza oven?
I don't have a mini pizza oven. There's this place, the Meat and Fish Market. It's probably the best. It's not a grocery store, but it is. It sells just fresh fish and meat. And then also anything you'd need if you were to rent a house, right? Or rent a house there. You'd be looking for coupons there, Biz, yourself. But I mean, it's just world class. So I like going there. I get some like lobster.
What do you mean? It's that expensive?
It's a little pricey, but I mean the whole island is. It sometimes it gets a little out of control. But
do they have coupons?
No, but you could maybe do like an ad. Maybe you could do a little advertisement on the ferry over. You could be the face of the ferry.
Wow.
You see me out there? I got the fish costume on. Fucking 100 degrees out with humidity. What the fuck you doing? Just trying to pay for some fish.
It's better than me. I'm like the human version of the wind thing that's always blowing around.
At the car dealerships.
I can't say it fast like they do in little inflatable wacky guy. Little inflatable wacky guy. Kind of. You guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's very exciting. And Keith mentioned the sunsets at the beach. That's kind of the best thing. There's some golf courses there that are just out of this world, Biz. Only one of them. Well, one's public. It's a 9-hole course. It's sick. It's like almost like a linksy. It's crazy. So nice. And then there's another public one, Maya Comet, that's beautiful. I think it's one of the top legit 5 public courses in the country. Like it's that. And then there's 2 ultra private ones that Keith and I kind of are able to kind of finagle our way on once in a while. Keith more so than me. He met a good buddy.
Who are members that we would know? Anybody listening? Any hockey guys?
No.
I heard you were telling me, was it Brad Richards had like 10, 12 crazy what do you call memberships of all these different golf courses around the world?
I don't know the number he's at. 10 might be high, but he's at like some world-class golf courses. And as you know, Brad Richards, I mean, that guy, he made a boatload of money. A boatload. And so I think he
made today's money back then.
Yep.
Yeah, really. So imagine investing that shit correctly. with a solid financial advisor over the past 10 years, Biz. That's why he's joining all these beautiful clubs. And he's a great golfer, good guy, very happy.
He doesn't need no
him.
coupons.
Very
to the fish
happy
market.
for him. But for us guys, the NHL draft was held in LA. And let me tell you, the NHL sometimes, and this is not the NHL's fault, the league's, this is the GM's fault. They decided to hold this, how do we call it, Biz? Decentralized draft?
Yep.
That what we're
you
going to call
nailed
it? It was a comedy show. It was an absolute goon squad of errors
I
and
didn't think
mistakes.
it was that bad.
Oh,
It got-
buddy, that's because you take
Wait.
the league side on everything. You're a league shill.
Well, listen, keep in mind, after like the 12th pick, I went for a time massage. So that might be why I was like, oh, it wasn't that long and painful. But I will say, the fact that they continued and even thought of the idea to Zoom interview the player with the GMs afterward, I was like, what? But here's the problem, though, is I thought the moment between Schaefer and the Islanders was very special. So the start to it was, I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Like, this is different. But then the drop off after that, including, I think at the pinnacle of like, this is maybe a little silly and going to drag out and be way too long, was the Bruins, where they were just kind of giving him the silent treatment, probably not hearing what he was saying. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Contract negotiations started already. They're giving, they're being savages.
But
They're
he
like,
got to get announced by Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler.
That
was a signing bonus. That they used it on that.
Okay,
That's
that's all time.
Yeah,
That's all time.
when he asked for like a monster 8-year extension out of entry level, they'd be like, no, you're getting 3 years at 4 per season because Happy Gilmore picked you. So say thank you and go
we
back
got
to
you
the
in
gym.
the third movie. You're gonna get a cameo, and that's it. That's all you're getting. You're gonna take the fucking $4 million deal we're offering you. Here it is.
Hey, you know what? You know what makes me feel old is how young the parents look now.
buddy.
Like they're like they look like they're our
That's
age.
why they're making out like they were a couple years ago. They're fucking
Yeah, it was prom.
30. Yeah, it's like prom for them. There's tonsil hockey all on national television.
Well, when we were interviewing Hagens last week, I was like, oh, in my mind, talking to his dad, I'm like, what are you, college? When they ran off those 4 in a row, early 80s? He's like, buddy, I was like 1. Like, I think that guy's my age. So, yeah, I mean, seeing... Now, I shouldn't have been negative yet. It was just so funny to see a guy get drafted and go up, and then there'd be something wrong with the internet, so
Every
the
time.
GM can't talk to the player. But I first want to go back, not first, because I already went to the negative part. I want to go back to Matthew Schaefer. And if you didn't get a little teary-eyed and you didn't get a little emotional and just so happy for him when he was picked first overall, the passing of his mother last year, the battle with cancer she dealt with, the emotion he showed, seeing his the ribbon and his mother's initials on the Islanders jersey, who not only had him, I mean, they crushed this draft. We'll get into that in a little
had
bit
every
with the
pick.
Dobson trade. But man, what that family's been through, and to see the just emotion just take over for that kid, I was so happy for him. Everything I've been told by all these different scouts is we're looking at a true number one, an absolute game breaker on D, but it wasn't even anything about his ability as a player. It was more like the kind of kid he seems like and what he's been through that had me just kind of sniffling a little bit watching that Friday night, Biz.
I agree. And that's why, like, early on, I'm like, actually the exchange, between him and his family and even the Islanders organization, like, I thought like that was very impactful. And that's why, like I said, I thought as the draft went on, it got more and more criticism. But for that moment alone, I felt like it was worth it because you got to see his who he is as a person and everything that he's dealt with. And he missed like a fair bit of time too, correct? Playing.
Yeah.
So, I think that when you're evaluating these types of things, when you take the character into account, as a player, you've seen enough, but also as a person, you've seen a lot too. So very, very emotional moment. And what else about it were you kind of like not down with? It felt like weird because every time
it took 48 hours.
Yeah, they're on the 18th pick right now.
They had to dab up 20 guys on the way in.
So VZ texted me, Keith. He's like, is every kid going to dap up every other kid in the crowd? Like, it was because it was a little, but I respect that, right? These are kids you've kind of battled with Some of them since they're 10 years old, right? Like
Right.
that's how this whole circuit works. And some of these kids in the last 2-3 years. But at some point, I mean, I think you need to have like Terry Tate office linebacker come in and be like, no, like you're not dapping up anyone else. Get on stage.
You know who
go
they
to
should
the
get?
Zoom room. Go to the Zoom room and
No,
try to
don't
hear your
go to
GM.
the Zoom room.
You know who they should hire is the guy who came to our meet and greet that just tried to be the guy who worked the line. We thought he worked for the. Remember that guy? What was
We
his
had
name?
him on the show, I
Joe?
think. I think we had him on.
GM Joe.
Yeah, GM. That's who they needed, and they could have made that draft 2 hours and 45 minutes if they would have had.
I'll tell you
GM
what,
Joe.
GM Joe treated me better than anyone has ever treated me, though. So, like, I got no bad.
I have a
GM
confession.
Joe's like, what do you need to drink? Let me take your jacket. Like, it was like,
I have a
GM
confession.
Joe
He's
was
been
like my
living with me for
slave.
2 years.
Really? Nice. He built your place.
He was my con.
He let all the
Joe's
crickets
actually,
in.
GM Joe's doing the deal for Biz and Nantucket Meat and Fish Market.
Yeah. He
Trying to get him a deal on his fillet.
he
Hey,
forgot
but
to get the
Biz-
exterminator.
Biz, how funny would it have been though? We're 1 year late to see Lou doing those Zooms with the first overall pick.
I think that's why they let him go, knowing that they had to do those. That's why.
Right, I did read
Between
that.
Like,
yeah.
fix this
that and-
fucking thing. Fix this fucking thing right now.
Imagine being the intern who's like in charge of the internet and it's not working and Lou's there.
You could hear talk back on half of them. Like whatever was
I'll tell
being
you one
asked,
thing. Danny Briere knocked it out of the park. He was so good on that. The guy must be doing FaceTimes left and right. He knew what he was doing up there. He was great.
Mike
Yeah,
Greer
that's true.
for Misa, who went second overall, who we're going to have on later. I believe
Yeah.
we're interviewing him in a couple hours. Very excited to chat with this kid. I mean, dominant in the OHL. Like, player of the year, did he lead the CHL in points, I believe?
Yes, I believe he did this year.
And from exceptional status at 15 to go on to be the second overall pick. Very interested to hear his story, but Mike
Also,
Greer-
a World Junior snub. Didn't even get invited to
there was
camp.
like 7 World Junior snubs on your 158th
I know,
birthday season.
but if you lead the CHL in points and you don't get an invite to camp, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think there was legit 4 or 5 other kids that had no business not being invited. The
Kid who was drafted by Calgary. The kid who was drafted by Calgary, Iggy's kid, Misa.
I was also thinking about questions to
Memes.
ask him, and he was with Saginaw. They won the Mem Cup last year, and he was also on the team that was involved in Pussygate. Should I wait till the end of the interview to ask him about that?
Yeah, we can wait to hear about the end of Pussygate. For people who don't remember, I think there was like a 10-game suspension given out because
I think it was 5.
was it
Might have been
Simmer's son, John Sims' son, called
John
the kid a
Sims'
pussy?
son. Yeah, he called the kid a pussy. And I guess in the rule book in the OHL, that's one of the words you can't use. And apparently the captain for Saginaw, who it was said to, goes to the ref like, did you hear what he said? And then next thing you know, the guy who called him a pussy is getting a 5-game sussy. Like, listen, like, I get it. Like, you can't be chucking out derogatory terms, but I feel like calling a kid a pussy should be fair game. No?
It's
I'm
your
not saying
league.
it mights.
on
I'm
a
saying
week on a week where we're celebrating and coming together as two nations on our birthdays. There were Canadians storming the beach of Normandy with Americans. They weren't. The fact is that if you told those guys a kid couldn't call a kid a pussy in the OHL, he'd be disgusted. So we all know, we talked about that story. That thing was overblown, but I do want to hear Misa's side of it. But back to why I brought up Misa, besides him being the second overall pick and an absolute stallion of a player to go with Celebrini, Smith, Eklund, and who's the defenseman that they have that's supposed to be a stud?
Vlasic.
No, Vlasic's bought out, I believe. Vlasic, what a career. What a run. I'm sure he might keep playing. Gee, what's that defenseman's name? Stud. Either way. Mike Greer's sitting there. He's doing the best he can on the Zoom with Misa. He's got like his whole crew in like a movie theater behind. It looked like they were watching a movie. Just from after Schaefer on, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a one and done decentralized draft. Apparently the vote was 26-6 that GMs voted to do it this way. I think we might have a 32-0 to go back to the way it was.
No, Stevie Y loves it.
The amount of money that they save, because I think each team has to pay for it. Like you're flying out all your scouts, everyone like hotel rooms. I would keep it the way it is, but just don't have the
saving the owner money.
Yeah, I mean,
what a guy!
My understanding is Stevie Y loves it, and he was hitting the vape pen the last couple because Stevie Bong Rips likes the bong rips, so he's like, "Fuck, I need to hit the real thing," and then that's why he likes it, where they get to be just in their offices in Detroit, and the money component as well. So. That's what I'm hearing. He loves
the kid. How about the kid who got helicoptered to Disney? He's like, what is going on? That kid had no clue what was going on. He's in a suit at Disney.
I mean, this kid. I don't know if Anaheim just picked him based on that he's legit Lightning McQueen, who he just picked number 95 today. Like, it worked out to perfection. But he's got the number now. He's at Disneyland in the helicopter. And I mean, if you guys saw the kid who went right before him to Buffalo, Radi Murtika, MRTKA, an enormous Czech defenseman. There was a picture taken where he was just like, oh, Buffalo. You could tell. Oh, no. And then McQueen's on a helicopter.
He was like, no.
Mickey's giving him back rubs, and this kid's like on the way to Buffalo. He's like, I thought I got out of Czechia. What happened?
But he got the Google Dolls got to it.
Oh yeah,
announcing.
Hey, listen, they got some fucking bangers, and you're like, oh, what do these young kids know about the Google Dolls? Well, they should know their whole fucking catalog because those are timeless tracks. No.
Okay.
Oh, you don't like the Goo Goo Dolls?
Yes, I do, but there's not one kid in that stands that knows who they are.
Why don't you slide?
They have about 4 or 5 absolute bangers you could throw
on. The guy
on
told him to stay
on.
away from the food in Buffalo.
Hey, Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls has 2.4 billion streams on
banger.
Spotify.
All from Biz.
Bang. All from Biz.
And GM Joe.
Gans used to give it to me, him and Gordo, about some of the music I would play because it was all these like indie bands like the White Elephants and all like
the blue sneaker track. Like the worst.
I try to throw.
Then he invested in Tenfei. He's waiting for that dough back.
Tenfei's got a new album out and they got fucking bangers. Anybody who doesn't listen to Tenfei, they did a collaboration on like a house track. And that's got, in the last few weeks, 2 million listens. So that's a good little pop for them. Oh. That's super rich. They did a remix to it. What did you think else was cool? They had Finau, who announced for the Mammoth.
I liked his.
Tom Green for Ottawa was awesome.
Tom Green was great. Great.
When in doubt, bring a dog. When in doubt.
Always.
Yes.
He brings his dog everywhere.
Keith, who's the wrestler that came out there for, who'd she come out there for? I think she's like a top wrestler in the game.
Was it Seattle?
Might have been. She had blue hair, so that would make sense. I don't remember who else did. Oh, you know what? I'm just kind of looking through I'm looking through the draft list right now. Very, very fired up and excited for Sean Horkoff's son Will. I mean, I've known Will since 2010. Like, just thinking back, like this kid was like 3 years old, 4 years old, running around in Edmonton. He sprouted up to about 6'6" now, I think.
He's a weapon.
Oh, he's a stallion.
He's a weapon.
And they did the interview after, and knowing Hork's wife, best person in the world, so funny. Like, she was just kind of like, I think, a little nervous, and she looks over at Will, and Will looks over at her, and they both start laughing while Sean's talking. Yeah. Sean's the serious one. Her and Will can't keep a straight face because they both know how crazy it is. He just went first round to Pittsburgh. So that was awesome. Like, that meant a lot to me, knowing the family so well, the best people. And
they
then
live next to you in Nantucket, do they not?
Yes, right next door.
Yes.
We never get to see each other there because I'm there about 2 weeks during the summer, a week at a time. And then they're kind of there later. Will's training all the time now. He's skating. He's got World Junior Camp this summer. So
Hork's pretty hardcore too involved, right? Like he helps the kid out.
Oh, he's just an animal. Like Hork's a pro's pro. I mean, this guy's still training. He's also a big part of Detroit's management team, right? So it's kind of cool that he got to be there.
When you
with
say
his
that,
son.
you're saying he's just training with his kid, or he has his own trainer and he keeps in game shape.
No, I think at this point now he's just like doing his own training. But he was always with somebody.
And he's still fucking going 5-6 days a week.
I don't know about that, but possibly. I mean, he always was after retirement. He was one of those guys that did the art machine for a while. You remember the art machine? He's tried it all. He's tried it all. So he's very, I'm just very happy for them, right? Like Will left the national program in the middle of the season, went to Michigan, did great, and then he ends up being a first-round pick to Pittsburgh. Another pick, and we'll get into more of these guys, but did you see who Chicago picked 29th, Biz? You see this kid, Mason West?
No, I think I had a Thai lady walking on my posterior chain by then.
While listening to Google Dolls.
Her big toe in my cornhole.
Well, this kid, Mason West, plays public high school hockey in Minnesota for Edina. He's also the quarterback. He's going to Michigan State, and I don't think he's decided like what he's doing yet necessarily.
Play both.
He's going back to school to finish his senior year so he can win a state championship in football because he already won one in hockey. The kid's a stud.
I think
he's
hockey
going to the USHL. He's going to the USHL. The second the football season ends, he's going to play for the Fargo
Boys,
Force.
imagine having a two-sport athlete and playing in the NFL and hockey and what it would do for hockey to bring those eyes over.
So what would you? Yeah, I don't think that can happen though. I think
why?
That,
Well, if he's fucking
the
good
baseball,
enough,
football guys, it was the end of one season, the beginning of the other, right? So it's like.
I would say focus more on football than the beginning of the season. There's 84 games on the schedule coming up. Who gives a fuck about the first 20, 25?
Imagine an NFL QB just hopping into an NHL team.
He
would have to play every game, football and hockey on a Sunday. No game any other days.
He could.
He'd be your favorite player.
That would be sick if he would do the morning NFL game, like the 12 o'clocker. And then boom,
Chopper, right
in a jet, right, to do the 7 p.m.er for hockey. That would be lethal. I mean, if a player is good enough, I would allow him to not spend much of the start of the year like worrying about hockey. I don't give a shit. If he was like a player that was making $4 million and he was like he was a piece, but not the main piece, who gives a fuck? Don't you think it's inevitable that like down the road, like
no. I think you're insane to even think there's a chance it happens.
Yeah, maybe in the 80s, not anymore.
Imagine planning on your guy for like when they like maybe don't make the playoffs or losing the divisional round, and like, I mean, he's coming in injured.
Biz is just thinking clicks. Like all he's thinking right now is clicks on Instagram.
No,
I'm
thinking it would be like the hockey's version of Caitlin Clark. Like imagine the draw of people being like, this guy chucking darts in the NFL is now hopping over to hockey. It would bring so many eyes to her. I don't think it's that dumb.
Does Caitlin Clark play in the PWHL?
No. I don't think
she's a one-sport lady.
No, I'm saying as far as like the amount of like, oh God, what's going on over here? Like that type of shockwave. I wasn't comparing the scenarios.
Yeah, I guess if you talk to NHL owners and
maybe it's an NFL QB and an e-bug, because that is something that's going to be traveling with the team. Moving forward in the new CBA. Weird time to drop the CBA, same time as the draft, but if we're going to finish up on the draft, Game Notes did an incredible extravaganza, as they always do with like the trade deadline. They do Final Four. We're going to get G to hop on, and they did an excellent job a few days ago. So if you want to know a little bit more about each of these prospects that were drafted, hop over, because Merle's arm, G, and a few other guys break it down perfectly. G, what were you most excited about the draft, and what were your overall thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, I think James Hagan's getting drafted to the Bruins. I have to say
that was cool,
dude.
That
we had
cool.
him on too.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And even just, I was in Boston this weekend, just like being around the city, like there's a buzz around the team now. People that like don't really talk about the Bruins were coming up to me being like, what's the deal with this Hagens kid? Like, I'm at a wedding. People are coming up to me during the maid of honor speech. They're like, we got Hagens. So I think it's cool. I think it's something Boston needed. I think the Islanders were far and away the winner of the draft. I think Matthew Darche came in so hot. Like first and foremost, like doing what he did with Matthew Schaefer, surprising him with the cancer ribbon on the jersey, putting his mom's initials on the shoulder. I thought that was just world class. And then like trading Noah Dobson and having those other two picks, Victor Eklund, that's a kid everyone was saying was going in the top 10. And then you have this Kayshawn Atkinson, and he's supposedly like an unreal shutdown defenseman. So they have two legit D-men and a scoring prospect coming out of this draft. I think it's a home run win for the New York Islanders. Philadelphia, Porter Martone, is there like Martone, the Italian last name, big bruiser forward, like that
Is he
guy
tough?
is
he tough?
It sounds like he's a pretty tough kid. I mean,
They said he's really hard to play against.
And what would be interesting is there's some rumors that Porter Martone could be headed to Penn State next season. I mean, if he heads to Penn State as a Philadelphia Flyers,
You might as well. It's one of the best run programs, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no question.
Are you saying that because, like, what do you mean, Whit? Like, you might as
And
well.
that and
Well,
and
no,
that other
I'm just
kid
saying
who's supposed
even
to go there.
closer between like to your team that you could possibly be on after next season, right? If this kid's that
Right.
good, and then to just play up another level. We've talked about this. You've seen a ton of kids move from CHL to college. It's a little more high level. I know people get kind of poopy pants when I say that. It's just a fact. They're older. Speaking of the Islanders, they also enormous deal, made a huge deal with Montreal, sign and trade Noah Dobson for the 16th and 17th pick. He goes over there and signs an 8-year deal. Is it 9.5-ish a year? I mean, first thing I thought, Oilers homer. I'm like, well, Bouchard's definitely getting 10. But kind of ballsy move by Montreal. This guy's put up huge numbers.
Yeah.
Liz, you've brought up his defensive side of his game before, but immediately everyone thought those picks were going to be tried to move up to get Hagens. Use those two to get up higher in the draft, get Schaefer and Hagens. Didn't work out, but they end up getting those great players G mentioned. And Montreal gets a stud on D, like offensively at least. I guess I wondered, like, wow, you have Hudson already.
Yeah.
Caden Gooley on the left side. The right side, I think, was thin, but they have that Reinbacher, sorry, can't think of his name right now, coming in. That was a very high pick a few years ago. What did you think, Biz?
For him to go to Montreal, I thought it was a little odd because of like the power play one defenseman. You have Lane Hudson there. So maybe was surprised to see it be them, but I was more surprised by the number. Like, I just don't think that he is. People want to go back to 2 years ago when he put up 70 points. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a. I know it's hard to put up points in the NHL, but also Frank Borelli told me I think he's only gotten 2 power play goals in the last few years. Maybe it was just last season.
Power
Yeah,
play.
'cause he's on the Islanders.
I just don't see in what world this guy has earned a $9.5 million tag. If you think that he's going to play into it, well, they know something that I don't. But I thought that was an astronomical number. If you would have told me 8.5, I would have said, okay, I could see that. They're obviously seeing something that no one else is. And if you think that 170-point season is that, where I think that most of them would say he's not like an inspiring player in his own end, can he develop those skills? Yeah, he can. But I just thought it was a bit of an overpay.
It's not no one, though, because Columbus was right there. It came down to the wire of Columbus wanting him. Same with Montreal. I think that he's 25. I mean, that's young, dude, for a defenseman coming in with the numbers he's put up. Like last year, the big off year was 40 points, 10 goals. He's had double-digit goals 4 years in a row. Like that offense, I mean, that's what Seth Jones makes. And, you know, obviously he's a different player, but he's 6'4". He can skate. I think there's a lot more on a different team that you're not thinking about. Similar to how you're judging now. The Islanders.
I find it hard to sign that kid to what Bouchard's going to sign for. Look at their body of work.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm like, wow, agreed, which could make Bouchard at an even higher number. But like I was more kind of wondering about Montreal already having like an offensive dynamo, but they needed righties. They needed a right shot defenseman. They got what they think will be their number one pairing guy for the next 8 years.
Him and Matheson, you know, good at like Matheson, good skating D-man, can shut guys down. Then you got him who's going to contribute some offense to maybe take a little bit of the offensive stuff away from Hudson. Not that he needs it. The guy put up monster numbers as a rookie, but I think anytime you can add a defenseman that's going to help you win games, it's a no-brainer. And he's proven he can do it. 9.5, yeah, it might be a little high, but it's also you're paying, you know, you got to pay to go to Canada and play in these big time markets, and you might have to overplay it a little bit. But I love that Gort sees the window with that team. They made the right step of getting in the playoffs last year, and they're looking to get better and better every year.
What, like, do you think from like a Lane Hudson perspective, it may create a little confusion from like who's going to lug the mail, and maybe if things don't start off well next season for Lane Hudson, all of a sudden he gets bounced from the PP or at least that first spot on the PP. Do you think that maybe like psychologically would fuck with a guy?
I think
Keith?
pressure at that age is a great thing to put on a kid.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think Lane Hudson's somebody who's like, this is my job. I'm number one PPQB no matter what.
Right.
But to have competition from within and to have a guy who can also, I mean, you can also go 2D, right? Like, it's very rare now. But thinking of Hudson or Dobson with Demidov there and like Suzuki, like, I just think it adds, it's a weapon that they've added, right? Now, defensively, we'll see. To live up to the deal, he's going to actually have to be way better defensively. But when you bring up Bouchard making mistakes and sometimes being lackadaisical with the puck, I mean, that's what Dobson has kind of been chirped before as well. And the Islanders are not as good of a team as the Oilers. So let's see him, and let's see how he does in Montreal with how skilled that team is.
I think if you put Dobson on Edmonton the last 5 years, I think they're very similar players. They're gonna give you kind of the same results. They're both their offensive numbers are gonna be a little bit higher. Like, if you're a Montreal fan, you have to expect his numbers aren't gonna be monsters because he's sharing the pill with
exactly.
Hudson. So it's like you can't expect him to get 70 points a year. If he's above average defensively and putting up 40 to 50 points a year, I think that's a home run. Your team's going to be doing well.
Love that. Another big one for Judd. Holy shit. He does run the league.
Gets guys paid.
You and Judd are the backbone of this league,
And
busy.
As Mike Fuda would say, you can't judge a defenseman on a bad team. And
There you
simple as
go.
that.
I think
Simple
we
as
just changed
that.
business mind right there.
You go.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your intelligence.
Gee, quickly about Hagens. I was wondering, so Eichel played his draft year at BU. He had 71 points, right? He goes second after McDavid. Fantilli played his draft year. He has 65 points. Celebrini has 64 points. Hagens ended up with 37. Now, I think if he ends up, I think it was more just they saw that these superstars, what they did their draft eligible season, and he was a little less, but I still think he's nasty. It's almost like you're comparing him. Yes, maybe he's not quite there right yet, what Eichel and Celebrini are able to do, but he's still unreal. They still had Leonard scoring most of the goals, and so
he went a year early too. People forget that he declared for BC early, went when he was 17.
Yeah, but all those other kids, that's why I brought up those other kids.
Yeah, so I think when you would watch the games as well, he would defer a lot of offense to Perreault and Leonard on that line. So he was still a point per game guy, 17 years old last year. I would send him back. Also, he was 170 last year at BC. He's saying right now that he's weighing in at 190. So that's a pretty big difference.
Jacked.
What's he on?
He's on
the fishing boat.
The fluke.
He's dragging in tuna barehanded with his dad.
Yeah, because when you're playing with two guys like Leonard and Perreault, even though they're probably only 1 or 2 years older than him, it's like playing with superstar guys in the NHL. You defer to them. You're like, okay, I got to get them the puck. Let me wait my time. Then I'm going to be the show. I'll be Showtime next year. I think he's going to be a monster. I don't know too much about college hockey and stuff, but once you lose guys like that, and it's your show, and you're the guy that's going to be handling the puck and dependent to score, he's going to show up and ball out this year.
And he'll have Teddy Stiga. He'll play on a line with Teddy Stiga, who's a draft pick as well. So Bruins have 6 NHL draft picks on BC next season. How wild is that? I don't think I've ever seen that before.
That's crazy. First year in quite a while, no Finns drafted in the first round. Kind of odd.
Wow. Interesting.
Very
the defenseman tweet you sent out was also interesting.
Buddy. And for anyone who didn't see this tweet, it was going a little viral, I think. Not one defenseman was drafted under 6 feet tall.
How many of them are actually 5'11", 5'10 and a half and wore a couple pairs of socks, though?
What also caught my eye is 2 goalies picked in the first round. and this is something we're going to get into with Jason Gregor, good buddy of the shows, who's coming on, and we'll talk a lot about free agency, CBA, and all that, his thoughts on the league. But goaltending is a weird position, and to waste, not waste, but to spend a first-round pick on one when it seems like you can kind of get them from anywhere, it surprised me a little bit. Like, I don't know if I think you could get a very solid goaltending prospect in the second or third round. Now, maybe these goalies are that much better than everyone else. I think Columbus picked Peter Andrianov from Russia, and San Jose picked Joshua Ravensbergen from
I'd be curious
Prince George.
to know how many first round goalies actually pan out, and ones that are drafted in the top 15, like what their hit rate is. Because I agree with you, like, but when you say that they're easy to get from everywhere, like, yeah, it's easy to get goalies. It's not easy to get quality ones. But you're saying in a sense of how many actually pan out, it just seems like a little risky going that high.
Yes. And like, and more so just how difficult the goaltending position is, and how you see guys have these monster years, and there's a lot of like inexplainable things with goalies where you think this guy's flying ready to go after a big year, and then they just stink the next season. Like, they're very fickle, I'll say.
Right.
So to have a first round pick, I'm more looking at, and yeah, if you're picking like 25th, 30th, like sometimes you're looking at what could be a bottom 6, 5-6 defenseman, bottom 6 forward, elite level ones, but I'd kind of go towards that than a goalie that high. Now, I think the last high goalie taken, was it that DaCosta that Detroit took?
Yeah, no, they just got John Gibson. We'll get into that.
I know.
What about Fowler? Wasn't Fowler a first rounder?
No,
he's a
he wasn't.
defenseman. Oh, you're talking the goalie?
Yeah.
Where did he play again?
BC.
BC, that's
Drafted by
right. You said he
Montreal.
was the next guy. How did you describe him? Patty Waugh?
Me?
I don't know if I think he's just won everything until he didn't win the national championship in college. Prior to that, he'd been a big winner. I think he's got a crazy bright future. But we'll see. I mean, I'm just more talking about taking a goaltender in the first round here. I'm looking, anything else? The last name I was wondering about was this Caleb Denoyers from Moncton, Utah took him. Like, is he supposed
People
to
compare him to Patrice Bergeron, like that, like two-way center, QMJHL, played at Moncton this past season, was hurt for the Mem Cup. But yeah, people are really high on this kid. He's a kid, I'd say, as of, the last month or two of the season, really started to skyrocket in the rankings. But I'm really high on this kid. I wanted him to fall to the Bruins, but I think Utah has a stud. That's exactly what they needed. They need a dog up the middle. They have Clayton Keller, but they need that guy who can be their Alexander Barkov, their Patrice Bergeron, and a lot of people think they might have that here in Caleb Day.
What's a Ginla play, wing?
He's a winger as well. So they have a bright future, man.
So
Yeah.
when we got to the second round, first pick of the second round, Simon Wang, the highest picked Chinese player of all time. Apparently, like, I'm reading here that I think his mother, Willa, had been an integral part of like growing hockey in China, building a rink in Beijing, and the kid was talking about trying to continue to grow. I guarantee Yipper knows this kid. Yipper's been the king over there for a while now. So playing for Kunlun Red Star, even though I believe they've been playing in Russia for like 3 or 4 years now. So I'd like to ask Yipper about this kid, but that's incredible right there to see that.
Can I ask you guys something about the Sharks? I kind of wanted to go back to them because I don't know if you guys remember when we talked to Warsofsky, he said that he envisions Will Smith as a center. So you have Celebrini as a center. You have Will Smith as a center. You've now drafted Michael Misa as a center. Does that mentality shift?
No, it's a backup
Smith?
plan. It's a backup plan. Like, it's like if Smith, it's kind of like Nylander. They tried him out at center, and it's just like if it's not a comfortable situation, I think you also just always take the best available player. And I mean, buddy, if you have 3 unreal centers, all of a sudden you're what? The Florida Panthers. So like if Smith turns out to be Lundell, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, right? So I think it's such a hard position to be deep at too, that you got to take swings at it. That's my opinion.
I would think they're saying that we're going to find out who's a better center, Misa or Smith, and the other guy's playing wing. And then it's
Easy
like,
as that.
like Biz said, we took a stallion. So we're
Two-
now, I think,
two black
let's throw it
guys
over to
dra-
me. What?
Also, there was 2 black guys drafted in the first round as well, right? And I
yes,
believe,
Pittsburgh selected.
Bill Zonin.
Yes, Bill
and he
Zonin.
was
Zonin.
asked about, what got him into hockey and what made him so passionate about it. And he mentioned PK Subban. And
He's
there was
from
a tweet.
Montreal, Biz. The kid was from Montreal.
We talk about representation matters. I think that was kind of the conversation afterward. And these guys having like trailblazers, like the Anson Carters. I mean, the Georgia Rocks. The list goes on. Ward, who won a championship with the Washington Capitals. Like the list goes on. Wayne Simmons. So it's cool to see that our game is growing all over the world. And you just mentioned, was it the highest drafted Asian player of all time in the second round?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's cool, man. That says a lot about our game and where it's going. And now we got the Olympic year. So hockey's on a heater, boys, in a lot of different ways.
Top name in the first round, I got to go Detroit at 13th overall, Carter Bear. Just like Bear flying down the wing like that could really pop, especially if he's running people over, scoring big goals. It's like Meme's backyard putting, same thing. The Bear's loose. So with that, I say we throw it over to Misa. G, you want to do that?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, without further ado, the second overall pick, Michael Misa. Guys, I want to talk quickly about BetterHelp. Spittin Chiclets is sponsored by BetterHelp. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health. Try working with Biz, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress. To battle stress, most of us can't wave goodbye to work, but we can start small with a focus on wellness. A holiday is great, but it isn't a long-term solution to stretch, so don't forget that therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or any day might bring. Therapy can help anyone. I'm telling you right now, I have experience with it. Getting things off your chest, talking to somebody besides a family member can do the world of good for yourself. And anyone else you know who might need to talk to someone who's going through a lot in life. Even if you're not going through a lot, it's good. It helps. With over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/chiclets. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/chiclets. We are now pleased to be joined by the most recent second overall pick in the NHL draft, Michael Misa, the newest member of the San Jose Sharks. What's going on, buddy?
Saginaw Spirit, too, also with. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course. Amazing backdrop for you right now, maybe in Santana Row in San Jose. So you flew over there Sunday, spent some time with your family after the draft, you were telling us earlier?
Yeah. That was the game of the day Saturday just with the family. And then, I came in today, went to the rink and stuff, got some equipment fitted for stuff. And now I'm at the hotel, yeah.
That's like a dream come true, right? Getting the NHL gear must be amazing. I think like we have a bunch of questions for you, right? Like all the stories we've heard since you were so young. But my question is, when you saw, Islanders had first overall, you want to go first overall, but second, San Jose, Celebrini. That had to be something where you're like, it's great if I go second.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously I think everyone wants to go first overall, but then, I did end up dropping a 2 and I couldn't be like more happy with the situation here. The young core they have, it's pretty special what they're building. So I'm excited.
Were you expecting to go that high?
Yeah, I mean, from like conversations I had, it was like 1, 2, or 3. So I was happy, with 2 San Jose. It's awesome here. So
And obviously your brother being drafted, was it last year or the year before? But obviously your family kind of knew what to expect a little bit. For you, was it, nerves were a little bit less because you had already been through it with your brother and you knew what to expect a little bit, and then obviously you don't have to wait too long to hear your name called, and you get to get your name called by Bailey, the wrestler. I'm a big WWE guy.
Oh,
so
I thought that was Seattle.
that was pretty cool. that was pretty cool. But like you said, I think even just being in that moment, my heart was pounded a lot. Excitement, and then hearing my name called, it was just all enjoyment. It was so cool.
So I mentioned earlier, you played in Saginaw. You were exceptional status going into the OHL, which means you played a year before you should have. Like, I don't know how many exactly players before you did it. I know McDavid did, maybe John Tavares. Like, how were you so good at such a young age, and like what separated you from the other kids that were your age?
Honestly, since I was 7 years old, I played a year up with 2006 borns. I played all minor hockey in Mississauga for the Senators, and going into my minor midget year, applying for exceptional status was something I wanted to do. Just get drafted with that group I've been playing with since I was young, and just threw my name in the hat. It ended up working out nicely. So
when you're 15, even younger, like you were just a hockey nut. Like if you're playing up at age 7, obviously you have an older brother, but I was seeing that I think your dad built an outdoor rink. Like, was this always your goal and dream from the time you can remember?
Yeah. I watched my cousins play growing up. They all played in the GTHL, and some of them played against Marner, Dolmy, like some of these good players, going to their games and watching them. And like you said, my dad used to build a rink in the backyard when we were younger. We'd be out there all winter, kind of shooting pucks, just playing 1v1 versus each other. And since I was a little kid, it's been my dream to come to NHL.
He's from about 45 minutes down the road, Jans. Kind of like a lot of cake eaters in Oakville. That's where a lot of the money's at. Okay. So we're kind of like the little area down south.
You skated on the sewer, and he had a backyard rink business.
Exactly. What was it like growing up in Oakville, and like who were the teams that you were playing against? Was it still the Welland Tigers, St. Catharines Falcons?
Yeah, I grew up Oakville. I never played there. My brother played there growing up. I played in Mississauga, which is like 20 minutes away, and that was the GTHL. So I was more like against the Marlies, Garrett, Titans, teams like that. But my brother had a good team as well in Oakville. That 05 age group with him and Kyle Ritchie, Nick Lardis, like some of those guys, they had a really good team growing up too.
So your brother, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to Penn State next year, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and I'm looking at his numbers, some great last 2 years in the OHL in Mississauga and Brampton, but being like a later pick, it has to be like a little odd. Like, when did you know, like, all right, I'm battling against my brother, he's older, but like I have maybe a little bit of a different path ahead of me. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it being your older brother, all of a sudden one day you're like, oh, I could totally play with him. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. No, I think we've just fell in two different kind of paths. I mean, he got drafted later than me, and I think, Calgary kind of told him that next year at Penn State's going to be good for him, get a little bit stronger, just get that experience. He's going to love it too. He lived at home his 3 years in Mississauga, so just to get that experience, going away from home, living by yourself, it's good for him, and he's excited. And then, for me, it was a little bit different. With my years in Saginaw, we had a pretty good team my first years, then won the Memorial Cup, which was awesome. And then, coming back to this year is the draft year, and tried to run with it.
Being drafted by San Jose, and Whit touched on it with Celebrini and Will Smith, and we're friends with Ryan Wasowski and Mike Greer. And have you ran into Jumbo Joe Thornton yet? Because that's the guy you want to surround yourself with. Hopefully, get the nod to live in his house the next year or two. But he is, when I think San Jose, today. Yeah, newly Hall of Famer too. Yeah. So have you met him yet?
I haven't met him, but he sent me a text after the draft, just congratulating me, which I thought was pretty cool. And I didn't check my phone too much because it was pretty crazy at one point. I looked at my notifications quickly, and I saw a text in the bottom that said Jumbo. I'm like, hey, that's Jumbo Joe. I'm like, that's awesome. So
that goes top priority to the top of the list. I had a great experience playing in Saginaw, first class organization. Like, I was there the first year it was bought, and Dick Garber and Craig Goslin brought it over. What was your experience like? I mean, you went in there a year young, and you turn into the player you have. Like, how much do you attribute to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my first year in Saginaw, coming in at a 15-year-old, I didn't know what to expect really, but they were the only team I talked to before the OHL draft, because I really didn't know if I was getting drafted or not. And then I got exceptional status, so I talked to just Saginaw. They blew me away. They brought me down there for a tour, everything. I was able to play with a bunch of good players too. And then like our owners, Dick and Craig, they do such a good job at just being there for the players on the road. You get good meals. Top class organization. I give a lot of credit to them over my 3 years there.
If you're given exceptional status, does that mean you have to be taken first overall? Is that Has anyone ever been given that, not been taken first?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. They
I'm
told
a
me they're gonna
journalist, some
take-
people say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We asked the
You know, like-
hard-hitting questions here.
Yeah, I think it probably means you're going to go first or well. I mean, all of them have the exceptional status people that have went to the OHL, but like ultimately, if there's a better player for a team, then they might take him. But in my experience, that's all I've seen was first overall. So,
Mies, I've been dying to ask this question. I talked about it on the podcast even beforehand. Do you guys in the locker room listen to the pod, and were you familiar with like the Pussy Gate and how it was all going down on the pod? I was fascinated with this story. I don't think Gosson and Garber were too happy with me because I have to be loyal to the Spirit, but that whole thing was ridiculous.
that was during the Memorial Cup year when we were going for it, and that whole situation happened. I remember it was the playoffs when we were playing London, and like after that whole thing happened, it was just like it was war on the ice. Like it was crazy games. Like our team, we saw like the whole episode and stuff, and like we're all laughing about it. It was so funny.
So what did I get wrong about it? Like the player on your team on Saginaw his father no longer worked for the league. But then I got sent the video where you could see him mouth to the ref, the official, and he's like, "Did you hear what he said?" Essentially saying you obviously picked it up, so he had to report it.
Because you cut out
my
there.
internet
Sorry,
doesn't
when you say at the end?
Oh yeah, I bet
smart.
I cut out.
Hey,
This
smart.
I
kid's
bet I
trained.
cut out.
This
eh?
kid's trained.
This
That's
kid-
why he's
this kid
exceptional
should've went
status.
First overall.
He
This
did.
kid's beyond his years.
What a move.
Oh,
Mike Greer right now is just applauding this.
Yeah,
I love
smart
this
man.
guy. I love him. Oh, you're first in my books.
Well, I think the whole situation when I was between it was Hache and Landon Sim, and then I think Landon said something to Hash, and he was like,
you think?
or
You
Hash said
know he
something
was
to
a
Sim,
savage.
and then no, I actually I don't remember the story too up to beat, but it was something along those lines. But I know Hatch never said anything bad to him. It was just a miscommunication. Like Sim's agent wrote a whole article about it or something, and it just like took off the whole situation.
I tell you what, you've been trained with the good PR. I mean, that was a test, and he passed it flying colors. And you got
That
anything
story
for
was
him, Jans?
Biz's dream. That story was Biz's dream, Mike. Like
I
that's
thought I
like-
was getting the Pulitzer for that one.
I just want to know, for all the people that don't know much about your game, like who do you emulate your game after? Who did you watch growing up? Like who are you most excited to hopefully one day play against on the ice?
Growing up, I was a huge Mitch Marner fan. Being from Toronto, I watched him in London a lot. This is laugh. I watched him a lot in Toronto. I just like the way he plays, and but in terms of modeling my game after, it's more Kucherov and Kaprizov. Those two guys, I know they're both wingers, but I see myself playing like them. They slow the play down a lot. The way they control the play offensively, I can see myself relating to them. And that last part of the question, just probably Crosby would be the most excited for me to play against someone in the NHL. Just watching him, he's like my one of my idols. So it's pretty cool to see.
Obviously, you're young and could go back to junior, but have you guys, and only 2 days after you've been drafted, but have you had the conversations with San Jose whether you're going to get at least those first 7 games, start the season there, and hope for the best?
Yeah, I think I definitely still gotta prove myself. It's a conversation I gotta have with them, and but my goal is to play for the Sharks next year. So I gotta prove myself and have a good camp here. So
Just the way you even describe the guys that you want to emulate your game off of. Are you a bit of a hockey nerd? Do you find yourself watching games constantly where that's all you really want to watch and consume on television in order to just be more knowledgeable about the game?
yeah, no, it was actually so this year I switched billets in Saginaw, and I had they got a TV in my room this year. So there was so many times I'd just come home from practice and just sit in my room and watch hockey games all night. It was like, I've never had a TV in my room and I loved it. I just sat there and watched games all night. But yeah, I mean, I love watching any type of hockey. Like playoffs this year was incredible. But yeah, in general, love watching it.
As a young player, like watching the way the style that you have to play in order to win the cup, or at least now, do you younger guys be like, oh fuck, like it's gonna be a grind as far as the punishment you have to take to win at that level? Like, is that something that you kind of see what these guys have to go through? And maybe even from your standard, like maybe you're more of a skill player, but like worry about getting bigger, stronger, and maybe being able to take that type of punishment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal of the summer, is just to get bigger, stronger for myself, because the NHL is all grown men. So I got to prepare myself for that. And yeah, you look at the playoffs and there's no space, there's no room to do anything. You got to make plays so quick. It's like a war zone out there. So I'm gonna, hopefully, down the line, I'm gonna get stronger, get bigger, be ready for that. But I'm excited.
Any odd draft questions? Biz usually like
I love that question, Whit.
Who'd we do? I think Hagen's, we just talked to him. He had one for us. I can't think of.
They
right
said,
now.
would you rather bob for $100? What was it? $100?
If there was $100, if there was $100 in the toilet, would you grab it? Or if there was 20 on the side, take that instead.
20 on the sidewalk.
I was going to say the exact same question. So Montreal asked me that, and I remember I told them, I'm like, I said I'd take the 20 out because I don't know if you guys want to shake my hand if I put it in a toilet.
Nice reply.
Buddy,
I love this kid.
You're smooth with it, bro.
Exceptional status.
Yeah. That's what that was really the only oddball I got, but like everything else is pretty good collection. So
I would have said I don't need either because I'm going to bend you over in negotiations.
That's awesome.
That could be like a GM wants that though, Biz. That could get you picked right then.
Oh yeah, 100%. That was the only crazy one. There was nothing else.
Yeah, that was really it. I know some other guys got pretty random questions, but yeah, it was pretty good.
Do you have a personal skills coach? Maybe somebody you've worked with as you grew up, or do you have somebody maybe off ice you're leaning on? I know like Adam Oates does that with a bunch of NHLers now. He's watching their clips. Like, do you have any individualized coaching for yourself personally?
Yeah. So who I work with on ice is Barb Underhill. He's my skating coach he works with Tampa. And then Randy Milani, they're both Tampa, one skill. Like Randy's the skill portion of it, and then Barb's the skating. And I see them like 3-4 times a week. And it's like mix a session, but I've been working with them. This is my third summer now. And especially with my skating, like Barb's really, helped me improve over the last couple of years. So, I give a lot of credit to them. And I think this summer, so my agent's Dave Gagne and his son, Sam, he's in Muskoka all summer doing skates with pro guys and stuff. So I think I'm going to try to get up there for a week, if maybe a week and a half, and get skates out with them just to, get that experience. I think it'll be good for me.
The boating's a bit overrated, but nice place. If you ever want to check out some nice boating, that Victoriaville area out in BC is incredible.
Victoriaville.
We might need a sandbag. I've seen this kid swinging the clubs on this NHL video. You ever seen a sandbagger? You want some
I heard
action?
you're a nasty golfer.
Are you?
Yes.
I had good rounds and bad rounds. I mean, so right before the draft, I went to Riviera and I shot an 89. Not bad.
Beautiful.
Okay.
But
Hardcore stuff.
Oh, that thing's got the.
Yeah.
Don't they have the bunker in the middle of the green? That course.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was that? I think it was Schaefer. Schaefer shot it in the bunker on that hole. He still parred it too, which was impressive.
So I went there. I golfed one time. It was with Mike Camilleri, and God, I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name. He's gonna kill me.
It was
if
like
he's
Tiger
listening.
Woods business. I don't remember.
These guys bust my balls all the time. They don't stop. They're relentless.
Yeah.
But it means they like you. I guess that's what
Yeah.
they say.
All right, Mies. Go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't
Sorry.
done my story.
Okay. Yeah.
So it wasn't Tiger Woods. It was the guy who owned BioSteel at the time. And I'm about to tee off, and Sugar Ray Leonard walks out. And I'm like, okay, like, keep going. And he's like, no, I'm going to watch you swing. I'm like, motherfucker. I was the most nervous. I was probably more nervous than you before you heard your name at the draft the other day. I was beating a million miles per hour, but luckily I kind of got one in play. So that's my Riviera story.
Wow.
It's good.
Thanks for telling us that.
Did it hit the green or?
No, I just got the fairway.
Oh, it hit a tree. bounced off some lady's head and then got in the fairway.
I hit an 86-year-old member right in the noggin, just off the fairway. I probably should. I should have waited for them to hit their second shot, but I was feeling a little frisky. Did you see any celebrities there? Like any cool people at Riviera?
Yeah, right in front of us was actually Terry Price. That was pretty cool. We talked to him after the round 2, had some lunch with him. That was awesome.
What a question by me.
Yeah.
Great question, Biz.
What a
Great question, buddy.
made up for Pussygate.
All right, I got the Roback last question. Use code Chiclets on roback.com for generous 20% off your first purchase through the end of the week. That's CHICLETS on RHOBACK.com. 20% off all polos, shorts, swim trunks, and more with code Chiclets. We got to ask you, buddy. It was shocking. No call from World Juniors. I mean, like, not just you either. I believe there was 4 or 5 other guys. Kind of shocking. But as a kid who probably grew up, dreaming of playing in World Juniors and you lighting it up, in the OHL, the CHL, were you shocked? Were you pissed? Take us through that.
I remember our coach Lads in Saginaw called me and Zane up to the front of the bus after a game and basically kind of just said, like, you both didn't get invited. It was definitely a little tough, pretty frustrated at the time, but it was almost just like a little bit of a chip on my shoulder going back to the rest of the season. I remember it was like a Thursday game. We played on Saturday, so I had to like just get my mind off it and move on right away. But yeah, I mean, overall, I got invited to the summer showcase in Minnesota, so hopefully gonna help them out this year and try and win a gold medal.
Don't go.
That's
Don't go,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Be like, yeah, you guys didn't want me last year. Now you do, motherfucker.
Buddy, you might be playing on Celebrini's wing.
No.
You can have
Yeah.
No,
15 goals at that
We'll
time.
take you as a U.S. guy. You
No.
can change your
You
citizenship.
were raised well, and it put the chip on your shoulder, buddy. And you're a funny motherfucker. I'm going to be rooting for you, man. You're an amazing kid, exactly like Goose said.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Hey, good luck with everything, man. It's incredible to see what's in front of you. Very excited for you, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, Whit. Appreciate it.
Sorry about Biz's story at Riviera.
That's awesome. That's what I'll never forget that. That's too good.
I need to talk about Body Armor. This episode of Spittin Chiclets is brought to you by the Body Armor Sports Drink. I'm right here holding the Strawberry Banana Body Armor. Right here, the light Body Armor Light Peach Mango. But we also want to talk about the new, refreshing, cooling sensation in 3 impossibly cold flavors, Body Armor Chill. A bold new way to hydrate with no artificial dyes, flavors, or sweeteners. And the flavors that they have, frozen berry, frozen cherry, and frozen orange. Ice cold, tastes phenomenal. None of the crap in it. No artificial dyes, no artificial sweeteners, none of that junk. And available for a limited time. So grab yours at a 7-Eleven or a store near you. Once again, frozen berry, frozen cherry, and frozen orange. My favorite, frozen berry, no doubt. But that's Body Armor. Go right now to a 7-Eleven or a store near you. Available for a limited time. Huge thanks to Michael Misa. Once again, congratulations. Incredible career in front of him, I'm sure. And now we're joined by a special guest of the Jason Gregor Show, Jason Gregor himself. Thank you. Long time coming. Appreciate you coming on and chatting it up with us.
Hey, fellas. Excited I got the call, especially, I don't know, is this the launch day of Biz running for governor or what's going on?
You fucking know it, buddy. You fucking know it.
Well,
we could have signed Bennett for 8 times 8 too.
Well, exactly. Like, you've got the perfect political landscape. You make up a fake story that's not true. You repeat it time and time again, and then people believe it. It's unreal.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how I get them every time. Which aspect don't you like? The state tax argument?
No, that that Bennett was going to get 10 mil, and now that he got
there's a couple reasons I did
that.
Tax. There's a couple reasons I did that. I'm trying to get his number up, so if they do re-sign him, they have to give him more to chip away at the advantage that they have. Like, that's just, even if he doesn't come to Toronto. And also, I do believe if he hits the open market, that somebody would have probably given him $10 million. You don't think that?
Hey, I love Bennett, man, but I compared him exactly to Nazem Kadri a few years ago, right? Kadri was a free agent. He's kind of a shit disturber, plays hard, spins it around. He had 87 points that year, won a cup. He's basically a point-a-game guy in the playoffs. and he got $7 million on the free agent market, which if you prorate it to today with the cap going up, would be 8.1. So Bennett at $8 million, which is what he got, is basically the same. And I love Sam Bennett. He play on my team any day. The guys, he looks like a serial killer, and I mean that in a positive way.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
when
You're
see
telling
him in
me with
interviews,
the amount of teams.
his hat is down here, like you can't even see his eyes.
You
You're
kind of
just
look like him right now.
Well, first of all, if you would have signed somewhere else, it would have only been 7 years. I just feel that there's so many teams with over $20 million in cap space to spend this offseason where there's not many guys to sign, that there would have been, I guess, more of a desperation where I could have seen an overpay there. And
you're
also,
probably right.
I also feel that the trend in the direction of like, you need these dogs and players that play with a certain like dirtiness, but yet flirt the line, are so valuable in the way that it's kind of treading. Like if you go back to when like even when the Leafs got rid of Kadri, like I feel at that time there was more of like a vocal pressure on how like there was maybe a pussification of the league.
I would agree with you on that.
Yeah. So
that was that was just another bad decision by your Leafs, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, right? They kind of got, I guess, like the public perception of like, oh, back-to-back years, he's unhinged, like where like we all know, like I guarantee, like even if they had to overpay another $1 million, that Colorado regrets not bringing him back for what he ended up signing for, based on how they haven't found their second line center since he left.
Dude, both teams miss him.
So the not only the regret of that they're probably experiencing on Kadri, based on what we saw from Bennett at the perfect time and really in back-to-back playoffs, I don't know. I guess, okay, so 9.5?
Well, no, you're probably right. Would somebody overpay him? Yeah, I don't disagree with the overpay. I'm just saying, is he worth it? No, he's not. Like, I love Sam Bennett, but there's certain levels of, like, we could have a whole conversation right now about free agency and who's going to be the contract that ages the worst, because we know it's coming, and there's like 3 or 4 really good candidates that are going to get paid. Like one guy just got bought out as a defensive defenseman in Vlasic, and Vlasic at his peak was a hell of a defender, but that contract, like, it aged worse than my hair, right?
Yeah, but people would have also said that the JT one wouldn't have aged well. And look, he scored 38 goals last year, and I mean, people might still say he's overpaid. So I think that I just think that we tend to like overvalue these guys who can perform at a high rate for 82 games. And then when the going gets tough, they're a shell of what they are. And there's evidence of that. Yet we've seen proof, and people say, well, yeah, he's been playing behind Barkov. It's like, he still has to play against the best in the league as you go deep into playoffs. And they haven't, and in some cases, he's responsible for shutting down the top guy. Some case he's going against the second line matchup. So like you said, we can have an argument till we're blue in the face. Like, I would just feel more comfortable giving him 10 rather than maybe having to give a guy like Marner 12. It's like, I want to pay guys based on what they've proven to me, not based on like, oh, I get a guaranteed point per game player in the regular season. Like, that to me, I've seen enough. That's me.
Well, no,
I don't know where you guys lie on that, Yans and Whit. Like,
I agree with you on that. It's just not realistic, because I don't see a day when you won't be paid for your regular season performance. It's like how you get into the playoffs.
But my argument is I think it's crazy that people think I'm crazy for saying that he's worth 10, where it's like, you would pay Marner 12 rather than give that at 10, and he showed you what he is in those situations. Like, I guess I'm crazy, right? I guess I'm crazy. Like, if you want to go pay for regular season, go pay for regular season, and he's a name, and I get that. That's kind of the one prime example. But hey, this is kind of the argument that's been going on online, as well as the state tax component. I see 5-10 years from now, the state tax thing then becoming an issue, and we're going to look back and say,
or was the biggest advantage having guys win the cup 3 of the last 5 years when your salary cap's $91 million or whatever it is over the cap? Like, that's a big advantage. Like, think about pre-salary cap era. Who won? All the teams who spent big money, right? It's just how, like, you know, hey, think if you can get a guy for $7 million, or you get guys for $10 million, and then the $10 million player is just as good as his money, you'll take the $10 million guy all day long. So when you have more money in your bank account, and there's nothing wrong with it, the teams haven't cheated. They've done everything by the book. But there's a reason why that rule is changing in the new CBA, because that's a clear advantage.
You're talking about the LTIR?
They're basically is going to be a playoff salary cap.
I saw a clip of Dale Talon talking about it when Florida wasn't as good as they are now. And he's like, I used to use that for, to entice players to come down here. He was like, it never worked, but the teams have to be good. No matter what, the teams have to be good for guys to want to go there.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of what gets lost in the shuffle of my comments about all this. I said that the question originally asked was, what does Carolina have to do in order to compete with Florida? And that was what started the conversation. I said, well, they have to draft and develop well, obviously, which I think that they've done. The second is it's harder for them, I believe, because of where they are and maybe the perception of it, where maybe sometimes like wives will be like, no, thanks, I'd rather live somewhere else. That is harder to entice free agency. And then I listed the third component is also like in other places that you want to play in better weather, have a state tax component to it. Like it was one variable that I mentioned that got spun into that, like all the credit should be taken away from what Zito and that organization has built. Yeah. Like this is kind of where it's spun to, but to ignore that it is a component to an advantage as well as running a good organization, I'm going to stick with that. So
but everyone wanted to be in Detroit when they were good, and we've all been to Detroit. Like,
hey, what was its nickname? Jeez, come on.
The toilet?
No, wasn't it Murder City for a while? Jeez.
I think there were some tough times in Detroit. I don't even know how the downtown's looking now. I do love.
I look at that like the McDavid thing helping attract free agents as well. Hey, though, like
100%. I said it all the time. People are like, oh, no one wants to go to Edmonton. Yeah, some people don't want to go to Edmonton. But when the team's good, most players, you guys all played. I got two choices. Oh, this team will pay me the exact same, or it might take a little bit less, but this team gives me a better chance to win. All day I'm taking, especially now. The players are all like, well, the players don't have to worry about, their future for a lot of them, right? Even if you're in the league and only making $3 million a year for a few seasons, like if you're smart with your money, you're set up for life, right? Like you're good. You can have a part-time job, do whatever. So nowadays players, they get to a certain level. They're like, hey, where do I have the best chance to win? Because it's getting harder to win, guys. Not getting easier. They're going to be 36 teams in the next decade, probably, right? Or 34, right? Like it's going to be way harder to win.
It's so
just
difficult
based on your
now.
odds. Because look, the Oilers were a good team. They've lost a cup 2 years in a row, and they weren't a bad. They're a really good team, but they didn't win. So now they spend all summer just as pissed off as the other guys who didn't go to the cup final.
You've long talked personally about your desire to get rid of the long-term contracts, and it was all about term for you. It wasn't necessarily the dollars. They made a little change in the new CBA, I believe. No more 8-year deals. Is it 6 and 5 or 7 and 6?
No, 7 and 6.
So and with this, we're hearing rumors that Marner could sign a 4-year deal with Vegas. That's a possibility. Why have you always been on to making the term less, and why players should take less years?
So I think it works, and I've crunched all the numbers. So it works for the entire Players Association. Because first of all, there's only a select few who get 8 years. So the rest are like, well, I ain't never getting 8 years, so why would I care about it? Number one. Number two, when you look at the way especially when the salary cap's going up all the time, if I'm the best player, and I don't want, because what did Nathan McKinnon say? You don't want to be the best value contract in the NHL for 4 years, right? Like, had he signed a 5 or 6 year deal at the time, think about how much more money he would have made in the last few years of his deal. So there's the guys who are capable of getting the big money. They're actually going to get a little bit more every time. But it's more so about how much dead cap space goes into the system, because who gets bought out? Guys, Vlasic, guys like that, who are good players who then sign an 8-year deal when they're 29, 30, 31, and the last 2, 3, 4 years of their deal, in some cases 5, get bought out. And now that guy's not in the league, or if he is, he's playing $1 million because he's getting paid this. But there's lots of dead cap space for the current players that no one can use because this guy's now out of the league. So it actually, it forces the teams who are competitive to remain at the top. Like, look at Sid. God, I love Sidney Crosby, but he might be just playing out the string if he stays in Pittsburgh with no hope of seeing the playoffs, which sucks for the league. I'd love to see one of your best players, most iconic players.
Where would you like to see it? Like, I think that's
after the age of anybody who signs after the age of 27 free agents is maximum 5 years.
I don't mind that. Maybe you get one exemption, like as a guy, maybe like a 6 or 7 year deal.
Do that now, but they're slowly. the fact that they took it away already means they realize it, right? And I think the players didn't fight for this because there's very little negative other than the few guys who get the 8 years and then they're not playing up to it, right? Like they're like, hey, great.
I feel like it was owners that were clawing back on the term originally. And you're saying like as times progress, like the agents and players have realized that it's actually more beneficial for them if it's like maybe a sweet spot in the middle. I wouldn't mind if they bumped it one more time after this, maybe on the next one where it was 5 and then 6.
Yeah, and 6. That's fine. Yeah.
I feel like that's a healthy length of a deal. And like you said, like all of a sudden these long, like these brutal contracts with AAV, you're not looking like, oh fuck, here we go. I got this for another 5 fucking years.
And honestly, like I had a player agent, a few of them tell me, I don't want my players, and this might sound strange, but you guys would probably agree. I don't want my guy to be grossly overpaid because now he's hating life everywhere he goes. Like, your contract's out there for everybody to see. And so let's say you're worth 8 and you get 8.5. Well, no one's really giving a crap. But if you're a $6 million player and you're getting 10 or 9 or you're 4 and you're getting 6, everywhere you go, like you probably put way too much pressure on it. I can't live up to this contract.
Darnell,
that's what I was going to throw at you.
If Darnell was making 6, 5.5, nobody's saying a word.
Honestly, if I said at the time he got overpaid by $1 million, right? If he was an $8 million player, even Jacob Trouba makes 8 and no one really talks about him as a bad contract, right? If $1 million, it's psychological for some people, right? That's why I argued if I was Evan Bouchard's agent, I would tell him because there's talk he might sign for 4 years. And if he does, it's a little bit lower. So you sign for 4 years, I would sign for $9.95 million. You know why? Because he's not a $10 million player. Yeah, you're right. Not a $10 million player, but Bouchard's an elite player. But that's what I would do psychologically because the extra 50 grand ain't changing shit in my life. It's only 25, maybe 21 after tax.
I think people are still going to round up on that number. I would say maybe like take 9 to avoid a little bit of heat. I think if he came...
I think if 9's a lot, right? It's $1 million.
You think he's a $10 million defenseman?
Actually, I do. Right? Like, because he does stuff that very few defensemen can do. Right? He's elite offensive player. Right? No one shoots harder than Bouchard on a consistent basis. All the numbers are at NHL edge. His passing's elite. And I know that in November on him going back for a puck, right? He's looking at times like a rec league defenseman and people freak out over it. But the problem is, and a scout told me once, when you focus on what a guy doesn't do, you miss all the things he does do. And that's what Bouchard is. Bouchard, I told people, I said, get an Excel spreadsheet, column A, all the good plays he makes in a game, check mark, all the bad plays in a game. I will guarantee you, I'll bet you everything, you got infinitely more at the end of the game in column A than you do column B. But because maybe the odd time column B, it's a big error, people freak out. Like, and the thing is now he's taking shrapnel. Like you look at game 6 against Florida, Ekholm throws an absolute Jason Strudwick special pass across the ice, hits the guy in the chest, and then Bouchard doesn't. And then Ekholm gets walked, and people still wanted to blame Bouchard because
I think what the gripe was with Bouchard is that he kind of just swatted at it on his backhand. And didn't he got
either
put,
way, like that's
he
not
got
the
put
guy.
in trouble, but you could also kind of just
glaring errors.
You could also position yourself where you're now the defensive player, than taking the risk just trying to bat it on your backhand, a soft play down the ice.
But
nonetheless, the problem was created by Ekholm and it finished with Ekholm.
Yeah, like I just think Bouchard.
What other things about the CBA that do you like or dislike?
What do I dislike? Well, I'm kind of surprised. I thought like the draft rule would come in place right this year, like that they would grandfather it in. They didn't. So, and it doesn't sound like they're going to, like everything's not starting. So it's technically, is it 2 more drafts now? Because technically it doesn't start till September of 2026. That's how the CBA is written.
Which draft rule is this? Which draft rule?
So now everybody's 4 years that you own their rights. Right?
Yes.
Because it used so the CHL
college,
players,
yeah.
like, and I get it. It was kind of a joke, right? Like you draft a guy NCAA, you draft a guy CHL. Well, he's got to sign in 2 years, or he goes back in the draft, right? So they change it now. It's 4 years if you're 18, 3 years if you're 19, 2 years if you're 20, etc. Right? So I like that rule. I think it makes it easy, especially because you might see some guys now that play, their 18 and 19-year-old year in major junior, and then they're going to go to NCAA, right?
Yeah,
That's
because,
probably
they
why.
have a level to at least jump. That's kind of what was my gripe, where European kids at 18 could go and play in the AHL, where there's clearly some kids drafted high first round in junior that you're forcing them to go back and like not really develop any further to a team or a league they just put 150 points in. Now they could jump to college, which it's more grown up. You're lifting probably more weights. You're going against bigger guys, so it's better competition. But are they going to open it up for guys to also go to the A who are 18 who sign after 2 years?
Well, I was told that 19-year-olds in North America, I haven't dug into it. I haven't seen the actual thing, but I was told by a few guys that they think that's coming, right? Guys
should.
that even in the CHL, and we could get a whole debate about that. I'm not a big believer that, like, I see a lot of 20-year-olds who come out of the Dub or Ontario League, 100-point players, they're stars. They get into the AHL at 20 and they get murdered. Right? Like, watch every year there's guys, they don't produce anything. Now their confidence is shot. And if you're an offensive player, now you're spending how many years trying to get it back? You do that to 19-year-old kids. Like, there might be the odd guy. I get it. Like a Shane Wright probably at 19 could have done it. Right? Maybe. But I don't know. I'm hesitant. I see more guys get ruined by rushed than I do guys who are, so I went back to junior. I end up going to World Juniors, obviously, if I'm that good. And I have a great year. I probably spent 9 games over a span of a month and a half in the NHL to start the season, made a little bit of cake. So that's good. And then I go back and I dominate. And I'm coming into the summer. I'm strutting down, the street thinking I'm the best player. And you guys played. If you don't have confidence, you got nothing. And I just think too many guys go to the A at 20 and lose their confidence and are never the same. I think we would see, if teams did more of it, I would like 1 per team rule for that rule. 1 19-year-old per team, and he probably would have to be a first-round pick.
And he'd have to be physically ready, because that's the thing. Like we talk about the always hungry league. You think it's a grind in the NHL, buddy. You are going against men, and it's a hard schedule. But Biz bringing up that now you can go play college, which you're going to see. I think there's like 120 kids this year going from major junior to NCAA. That will be the route, as opposed to having to grind out the AHL. And then it makes more sense. It's steps. It's dominate every step before you go to the next one. I'm kind of wondering, and Keith, Biz, speak in here as well, what did the players get out of this new CBA besides the no dress code? So there's no dress code. Awesome. They added 2 games. Yes, they took away preseason games, but regular season games are a lot harder. I know the cap is going up, but what do you see the players coming out of this being happy about?
Escrow.
But wasn't that already kind of figured? Like, it was already 50-50 with the owners and the PA, correct?
So you're saying that they would no longer be responsible for it, Keith?
I haven't read the new CBA, but I had heard before.
You can't read.
Yeah, that's true. Well, someone hasn't read me the new CBA, but I thought the escrow is done. I could be completely wrong.
That's a big win, because in case there's something
true?
Catastrophic that happens.
I haven't seen that pro or con to say that's happened. I'd heard that that's something that they pushed for, that they didn't want it anymore. And with the cap going up to the levels it is, it would kind of seem like, how could it still be part of it? I don't understand.
Yeah,
right.
Because we've never seen the cap ever 3 years in advance know what it is, ever.
I know. And it could technically even be higher. I think somebody mentioned to us in the finals.
I think I would assume it was something like that the league wanted to get out there to just be ahead of it from like a fan standpoint, where if the player, and also players saying, well, if it's accelerating at this rate, it kind of keeps the Stars happy knowing that, in 4 more years, like let's say Marner gets 4 times 11 in Vegas. He knows year 5, he's probably getting, 15, 16. So there's a significant enough jump, and he can stay confident in that. That's why I think now it's public, and it almost, like from a media perspective, backs off the players from trying to claw for maybe more.
Yeah, like I don't know if they legitimately got rid of escrow, but I think it's not really. I know they got it back to even. They don't own any money anymore, so it probably won't be used. Now they get more. They got double the money in the playoffs. If you're asking Whit what they got, so that will help. But when you're in the playoffs, they don't play. They play to win. So
and apparently, in a long mentioned or often mentioned discussion with us, the players getting maybe a tiny piece of the expansion pie was completely axed. They said, "Go kick rocks, sign your contract, show up to camp." Oh, also no testing. testing in the
Yeah.
in the
What do you
preseason
guys
is
think of
taken
that?
out.
I'm curious as players. What
I
do
think
you
it's
Oh,
great.
amazing.
I think it's
awesome.
great. I think
Guys are so ready
guys
now,
are-
Biz.
Yeah, they get worked up about it. And in some cases, the tests it doesn't say what you can do on the ice and your ability on the ice. Guys have different conditioning where they can skate for forever, but like the Wingate, they're going to puke and have shit results. So I don't see a reason to get these guys worked up and have to be there and be nervous about testing and then it be something that maybe the coaches or management is using against them, being like, oh, you showed up out of shape again. Like, listen, we got 84 fucking games here. Like, if I can play into game shape for the first 10, fucking lay off me. That to me is a big win.
Well, and they got all the money for ex players. That's probably the biggest win for the players, right?
So I think that with the franchise values, what they're at, like, I know that the number is not as large as we think it would be to get everybody past players that played maybe over 50 games. I don't know what they're arguing about as far as games played, but they put a $4 million pool together for insurance and to help past players. I feel with these franchise values and knowing there's going to be expansion, that seems a little bit light. They should just say, with everything else that they quote unquote won on, that is something that they can all get together and be good guys about. And not to mention the fucking franchise values. Like, so a lot of these guys have doubled, tripled their money. And I think that altogether it's like under 10 million to cover all past players' insurance and medical and dental. I don't think that's too crazy.
No,
right, boys?
It was step one, but I think you're bang on that it's it makes the owners look pretty damn cheap considering how much money.
I agree. That's the one caveat. And I think that, in my opinion, the players who have the most leverage should have maybe used their voice a little louder. And I think that that's something that the owners would have bent the knee on, especially with the fact that they weren't allowed to touch the franchise value or the $2 billion tag for these new franchise coming in. And because they moved, because of the situation with Utah, they were able to avoid giving back to the players, right? Because of that, the way that it was technically done. So these guys know what they're doing and they're billionaires for a reason.
That's perfectly said. It is great news, though, that, I mean, think of the days of knowing the lockout was coming. And I was in college when you knew the 05 one was coming. And then there was word that another one was coming in 12 or 13, whatever year that was. And it's like now they are on great terms, which shows how amazing the game is right now. We bitch and moan about little things with the league, but the league's in a phenomenal spot. And to know that the Players Union and the NHL are kind of lockstep right now, it's pretty sick from where we came from.
They do. Try hosting a 3-hour daily radio show in Canada in a fucking lockout. Like, good times, fellas.
Yeah, you're talking about the drills the guys were doing in Leduc that morning.
I had to talk about Whitney's living arrangements. That was the fun part of it. Christ.
What about free agency for the Oilers? Like, they have to get back to the drawing board. I was not happy with the way that they handled, like, not bringing back guys who had been to the finals the year prior. I feel like they should at least have kept two of the four of the Fogle, McLeod, Holloway, and Broberg situation. What do you see him doing differently this offseason in order to even potentially help keep Connor McDavid? I feel like they need to show him a few big moves for him to want to continue to stay there, and they owe him that.
Yeah, I thought that, I think they made some emotional decisions last, a week after losing. And, the players, there was sad, like, it felt like a death in the family when they lost the first year. And, this year they were just mad. And I think it's very different range of emotion. So I think that some of those decisions were emotional. I even would have matched Holloway's at 2.3. I said at the day, I would have matched his offer sheet. I wouldn't have matched Broberg because they had an abundance of left defensemen. And he never was really happy in Edmonton. He'd asked for a trade multiple times, which is fine. It's his right, but I just don't think he was there. So I look at Edmonton and what they're going to do. People are probably going to be really pissed. I don't see a huge splash in goal. I could see them adding a Lyon or a Forsberg and go with 3 goalies and then Pickard's maybe your number 3 in the minors if he gets through waivers, which he might, because lots of teams have 2 goalies at that point. But the big splash would be a winger. But if you look at the salary cap, you're probably better off to save your big moves at the trade deadline. Then you're going to get a guy at 1/6 of his salary on your cap. And if you accrue some cap space, you're okay. The Oilers are good enough to get to the playoffs. And we saw it just with Florida. Does Florida win the cup if they don't get Marchand and Jones? Probably not. Two pretty big moves. So, and there's not like, are they going to overpay for Brock Besser? Because you probably have to, and I don't think they want to. Like, I think Nikolai.
What about Mangiapane?
You know what? Hey, Wits. Jeez. Are you hearing things? Because that's a name I keep hearing is possible.
I saw a tweet that's like going through like under the hood Pasha style.
Yeah.
He's way more of a driver than Besser is. He plays with more like quickness and goal scoring wise, they're not as far off as you'd think based on like
he had
minutes
a big
played.
year in Calgary. So you're
like
thinking, oh, maybe he's comfortable in Alberta. That was his best year. Was it 29 goals?
Yeah, 35.
Oh, 35. Okay.
Yeah. So he's a little bit smaller player, but he plays hard on guys. And the thing is, like, he's coming in at a time where you're going to get him you would pay him and he has a really good chance to exceed his contract, right? Like he's not going to get $5 million again, right? Like, he's just not.
Yeah.
So maybe you get him at $3 million. They're obviously going to try to move Arvidsson. He wants to get moved. So I think that's eventually, if they can find a taker, they'll move him. But Mangiapane makes sense. I think, well, they definitely need a right shot center. It's obvious to me. Thomas Sex, this guy they brought in from Sweden, led the Swedish Elite League in scoring last year. He's 29. So he'll get every opportunity to play in the team. Matt Savoy's probably going to start the season on Draisaitl's right wing, I would think. And, he's a skilled, fast player. I think he can come in. But, there's a difference. Like, the Oilers are in the win the cup now mode. That's just a fact, right? Like, they're going to be there for the next 5 years, right? I don't see McDavid signing a long-term deal. I think he'll sign a 5-year deal, which is fine. 4 years, whatever.
But you think he's coming back?
Yes. Yeah. I've thought for a while, like, the minute Draisaitl signed and some other things with his wife Lauren and stuff that I think people overlook. Like, people look at the bar and that's not her main business. Her main business is interior design in Edmonton, and she's Lauren Kyle. She's not Connor McDavid's wife. And I think people, when you're a superstar, you're a big name person. If your wife has her own identity in the relationship, it's going to be a lot healthier of a relationship. That's just a fact. And so she's built a really good business there. Not that she couldn't, but you have to start all over. And doesn't mean your business is going to be naturally as successful if you go to a new market. No one's going to pay him more money than Edmonton. Like, Case would pay him. So I see a 4 or 5 year deal, something like that. And it probably happens in late August, to be honest. Oiler fans will lose their mind all summer. They'll wake up with an alarm clock. Did McDavid sign? And
because of Biz.
No. Time. I think that there's a stronger than not possibility he plays out the whole season before he signs a deal. My thinking is that if I were him, like, I feel like he's also like cares a lot about Edmonton and wouldn't want to leave the city on bad terms. If I'm looking at the way that I think that they're heading, if they do pay Bouchard 10, Draisaitl's making 14, Darnell Nurse making 9.5, and they don't make any type of big splashes, I could, like I said, I could see maybe on the way out signing a 2-year extension, and if they can't figure out in that time, saying bye-bye. And I feel like at that point, Edmonton fans couldn't be upset with him. But you think
he would wait until like next June to sign it?
Yeah, because you have to see what's going to happen in free agency here. And then you mentioned that they might not do anything till the deadline because of whatever you brought up about getting discounts on players that you're bringing in last minute. So if they don't make any improvements, like, why would he stick around to, like, if he has the opportunity to not only make the same money, play in a bigger market, maybe even getting out of Canada and going somewhere where he maybe sees more upside? To me, it's all going to depend on what they do. Like, you're telling me if, like, they still don't get a goaltender after next year that he's going to stick around? Like, I think that if he played out this year and then left, that there should be no animosity between the fan base and Connor McDavid. He's left it all on the table.
Well, there would be, for sure, because they'd feel like they'd all feel like they got dumped, right? Like, that's true. Like, fans get emotionally invested like that.
I understand. Now, logically, Whit, I'm going to ask you, if he delivered the full season and continued to do what Connor McDavid does, and they didn't improve the team around him, do you hold it against him for leaving at that point?
The only thing I'll hold against him, this is fan Whit speaking, is if he knows he's not going to sign, give him a chance to get a haul for you. I think that was the main issue with Islanders fans and stuff in Tavares.
Yeah.
But I also think for what he's done for the organization, he owes them the right where if he wants to like if they have an opportunity with him and Draisaitl and whoever they have to like maybe get to the finals again, like you're telling me that you would give up that chance at getting the haul for him like in short term, whatever the haul may be.
Well, I think you could probably, even if let's play out your scenario and say that he waits the whole year and the season ends and it doesn't go the way they want and maybe he's not going to sign, you could do a sign and trade because any team that's going to take McDavid, who's a legit winner, doesn't have the cap space to have a built team around him, right? Like they just don't. Like Florida's top 6 guys when they won the cup this year took up 59.8% of their cap. Barkov, Ekblad, Kachuk, go down the list. They're top 6 guys in cap space. Edmonton's top 6 guys, when McDavid's new deal kicks in, let's just say it's 16 mil. That's kind of the number,
more
right?
Than that.
Right? So let's say it's 16. So his number with Nurse, Bouchard, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, the Oilers' top 6 would be 57.5. You can still win if you build everything else out. So you can, I think sometimes it gets lost. Like if the thing is he could leave to go somewhere else, but anywhere he goes, unless he's going to Colorado, he's downgrading in skill to his best teammate. He just is.
That was my argument to him trying it for like 2 more years to see where things go. And then at that point, there might be there might be another team that it makes more sense where they're on the rise with his money coming in. But
I truly think that he's got that thought in him with Leon. Like we're winning one here. Like we're gonna bring a cup here. And I think it's not just the markets and the money isn't an issue, obviously, but it's not just like playing a different market, getting out of Canada. I think it's more like this is where we both were drafted to really cement our legacy. We're bringing one here. So, Gregs, we appreciate this chat, buddy.
Awesome,
very
chat.
dialed into the game. We'll catch up with you soon, no doubt, and check him out, Jason Gregor Show. Where is that in Edmonton? Where can you find that?
Sports 1440, and obviously we got the rundown on DFO.
Daily Face-Off.
Daily Face-Off. But
do you are you guys like doing this type of conversation every day where you guys are spitballing? Like, what's your guys' vibe over there?
Yeah, you know what? Well, when you're a talk show host in Edmonton every day, like the part of my job is a little bit psychologist, I think. Like there's like people are off the ledge, man, but it's great. Like some days I like to fire them up too. It's fun. Like I'm lucky. I work in a market where like people, they love sports, right? And we talk any sport on my show, but obviously when it comes to hockey, there's lots of passion, right? Some people, like I would say, for years, Darnell Nurse, although Darnell Nurse last year calmed down. He had a pretty okay season overall. He's never going to live up to his contract, and I've told people that. But, now there's a little concern about McDavid for sure leaving, but, I don't think he is. And then it's more so like the goalie conversation and the goalies, man, if anybody out there could accurately tell me which goalies are going to be good in the playoffs next year, like right now, let's go put down whatever money we have. Because it's like Connor Hellebuck looks like a rec league goalie at times in the playoffs. I don't get it. Like the guy in the regular season's a wall and he gets to the playoffs and he can't be. So
mark down
goalie,
Bob.
Yeah, well, Bob's me. But think about it, guys. 3 years ago, Florida was like, we might have to get rid of this guy. We're going to sign our backup as a $4.5 million goalie when he's played like 80 games because they didn't have faith in him. So it changes, man. It's the hardest position. I'm thankful my son doesn't play goal, and I love goalies, but God, I'm happy my son isn't a goalie because that'd be the worst, man. Like I'm in the most stressful position as a player, as a parent, and now to be an evaluator because holy shit. You don't know, like Stuart Skinner, there are times when Stuart Skinner has an unreal game, right? Like in Dallas and Vegas, Stuart Skinner looked like, he was a Vezina Trophy winner. He's getting shutouts every game, and they're like, holy, Stuart Skinner's pretty good. And he actually wasn't even that bad in Florida, but he just wasn't as good as Bob. So that's what it's going to be all 12 months of, is the Oilers goalie good enough, is going to be the key topic of conversation.
Well, we go on another ride next year. Next playoff, we get back on the roller coaster, Oilers playoff hockey. Jason Gregor, thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, fellas.
Appreciate it.
That was awesome.
This summer, guys, the sun's out, and so are the fresh cuts at Sport Clips Haircuts, and it's the perfect place to cool off and watch some sports on TV while also getting a precision haircut by a professional. From stylists who just get it, they've been specially trained to cut men's hair. Take your haircut to the next level when you ask for the MVP haircut experience. It comes with a hot steam towel and a 7 pressure point massaging shampoo that is sure to make you melt into the chair while you're watching sports. It's amazing. And for this summer only, you could swap out the classic hot steam towel for a refreshing chilled towel. It's an icy alternative that's the perfect way to defeat the heat while you're getting a nice trim from the pros at Sport Clips. So, Sport Clips, it's a game changer. That guy's the man. It's very interesting to hear kind of the discussion about his idea of term length. I never thought of it the way players aren't in the NHL because so much dead cap is taking up room in the NHL, right? Like that would be a big time thing for the PA that I hadn't thought about. I was more thinking the guys who, you don't sign the 8-year deal you could, and you're missing out on a bunch of dough. But now we're going to bring in the legend himself. This guy's got to be so gassed, so exhausted, so mentally fried. He needs his vacation.
The legend
himself, Elliotte Friedman.
Look at this guy.
He looks like he's at the lake house.
What a tan.
He's in Florida.
How many radio hits, podcast hits, overall TV hits have you done?
I've been unfortunately saying no. Like it's a lot of stuff has been going on, and I've had a lot, and I don't like to say no, but I've had to say no to a few things because it's bonkers out there right now. It's crazy. When are you guys actually dropping this? Like when?
This is tomorrow,
morning, buddy.
I know what could happen
I hope
tonight.
It sticks. I hope it sticks.
And on behalf of the entire hockey community,
I hope it doesn't stink. I hope it sticks.
Yeah, I was gonna say on behalf of the whole hockey community, what you do and how much information you provide. Sometimes I just want to text you and be like, you just got to make stuff up like us. It's a lot easier. It's a lot less stressful. Yeah. Like you're on the hammer all day long figuring out all this craziness going on behind the scenes, but we appreciate you dropping it, dude. And we know how hard you grind.
Well, you know what? Like, to be honest, like there's, as you guys know, there's an audience for it. Like we are lucky. Like the fans who watch our shows and they consume hockey, they love hockey and they crave it. So there's something to be said for like, if we were doing this for 3 people and nobody was paying attention, we wouldn't love it as much, but because there's so many people who love it, we're happy to do it.
Elliotte, today you pretty much dropped a hammer. I mean, this is a major story where you did not use these words. I'm going to paraphrase. Toronto's holding Vegas hostage because there's possible issues with tampering. I need your opinion on tampering too, with discussing agents. Is that tampering? But now there's news that Marner might go to Vegas in a sign and trade. This is who could go back from Vegas. Break this down with us where we sit right now, 7:53 Sunday night.
Okay. I still think it's very possible that Mitch Marner is going to be traded to Vegas. I have not changed my opinion on that. I still think there's a good possibility that that's going to happen. That's number one. I believe that if he is traded to Vegas, Nick Waugh will be going back to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not trying to disagree with anybody, but as we sit here tonight and tape this, I don't think Nick Hague would be going in that package. Could always change, but I think it's going to be Nick Waugh. I think it's going to be Nick Waugh for sure. I'm just not so sure about Nick Hague. They've been talking about this for the last few days, and as I explained, they talked Marner for Theodore deal last year around this time. Vegas didn't want to do it. Not that they didn't like Marner, but they didn't want to trade Theodore. They wanted to keep him, and of course they signed him. And then at the deadline this year, after Marner said no to Carolina, or I should say this, I don't know if it was after Marner said no to Carolina, but around that time, they brought Vegas in, and Toronto, Carolina, and Vegas talked about a 3-way where Marner would go to Vegas, Rantanen would go to Dallas, but the problem was they couldn't find a package between those two teams that would satisfy Carolina. Like Toronto didn't want to trade Nyes. So it didn't happen. Now Marner, of course, and this is the one thing I strongly back Mitch Marner on. At the time, his wife was seriously pregnant, right? So I can't if I agreed to be traded like with my wife 2 months away, I would expect to be divorced very quickly. So like, I understand why he didn't do it. So at the combine, I understand.
Save one ring to chase another, eh, Elliot?
That's right. That's right. Which is more expensive? That's the good question. So at the combine, I understand that Vegas said to Toronto, if you are going to trade his rights, we would like to trade for him. They've been on Marner for a long time. And I think this week, they started talking about it. Now, here's the tampering thing. Around the beginning of December last year, at the GM meetings in November, the league warned the teams about tampering. And then at the beginning of December, they sent out a memo saying that we are going to be hard on tampering this year. And we've got big penalties for it. Like they talked about fines up to $1 million, suspensions, loss of draft picks, all that stuff. And last week, they sent out another memo. And they didn't like some things that were being said or reported. Biz, I think your secret Brad Marchand offer might have been one of those things.
No shit.
Yeah.
You think they're
knock
going
it
to
off,
ask for the ambassador jacket back?
No, they're gonna ask for your cell phone, Brady style. You're gonna have to smash that thing.
Oh,
I have to tell you,
Oh, they did.
Eat it, Biz.
when you said like Marchand $4.95 million, but he might not know about it yet. I heard that was one of the things that raised alarm.
Holy come on, dude.
So
These
these
GMs got to know I'm fucking a clown. No?
I mean, I know you probably got like 5 million sitting in your couch, so just have it ready. But
Not me.
some of the reporting about Marner, they were upset about it, so they sent out a note. And you'll go back every year at 12:01 Eastern on July 1st. We start reporting like this guy's going here. Like the league hates it. So and I'll say this, after I mentioned it, when I was talking to people about it yesterday and the report came out about Marner potentially being traded there, some GM said to me that they are convinced the league wants to make an example.
Oh yeah, kind of like the LTIR thing with Edmonton now, right?
Yeah, right. Then that's still they're gonna look at that into August and see, or in July, and see if they want to do anything with that. But
do you think that because it's Vegas, does anything have to do the fact that where I feel when you look at an example of somebody who used that LTIR thing, maybe the worst quote unquote would be them when they did it with Stone. So do you feel like that maybe is a reason why they're more
I don't
easily going to go out to Vegas?
I don't think this is directed any reason at Vegas aside from this. Like, I don't think it's got anything that anyone might have an issue with in the past. I don't think it's got anything to do with that. I think it's just this. I think it's some of the Marchand reporting, and I think it's some of the Marner reporting. And like I wanted to say very strong, like I said this morning, I don't have any proof that any of this is true, but there's been any tampering or anything like that. But I do think the league has looked at some of the stuff this week, and GMs say they want to make an example out of someone.
Wow.
So now, and here's the other thing I forgot, and I didn't mention.
What do you think they're going to do to me?
It's a $5 million, no problem.
Take away Uriah.
But I'll tell you one thing. I was reminded of this morning that I didn't say, and someone called me to remind me. When the Maple Leafs signed Tavares, they were investigated, and the Islanders didn't complain. The league just did it. So it's not even an issue, and they were cleared. I don't think it was a hugely in-depth investigation, but they wanted to make sure that whole Tavares thing was on the up and up all those years ago. So it doesn't even matter if Toronto feels upset about it. The league could initiate investigations on their own. So we'll see. I think we're going to find out if they're serious or not.
We talked about it last podcast. I feel like there's so much actual tampering going on.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You even see former agents who are now general managers where like I would imagine that's going to be beneficial to them at their job because they're able to communicate with these other agents, know what the clients want. Like
my question about the Marner thing though is why not just wait and sign with them? Like he could actually become a full-blown heel and just be like, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm not waiving my no trade. And I'm just going to sign there. Like, why would you help out Toronto?
Yeah, and because usually you do that so the player can get the extra year. The reason
there's a couple reasons here. Whit. Number one is, as Biz says, Like I initially thought Marner might go for 4 years. Now I think he might be going longer. So look, Vegas is a great place to play. They're a great organization, a great place to play. I can't fault anybody for wanting to go there. But also don't forget that Vegas does need to clear more cap space. Like Pietrangelo, we were expecting him to go on LTIR, but they've made it very clear that they do not want to trade Carlson, they do not want to trade Hurdle, and they do not want to trade Barbashev. So that leaves probably Waugh and Haig. And, if you get the 8th year and Haig's a good player, the Maple Leafs could use him. If you get the 8th year and Toronto gets, Waugh's a good player. If you get the 8th year and you can trade Waugh to Toronto, it kind of solves two birds, right?
I thought it was 4 years, basically, so that makes more sense.
I'm not sure what it's going to be as we sit here on Sunday night, Monday morning when the pod drops. I'm not sure it's going to be 4 years anymore. I think that may have changed.
Wow,
because if it's not 8 years, Biz, if it's not 8 years, why aren't you saying, well, I want Haig and Waugh on the team. I'm going to. So I'll wait.
Because they can't fit them. They can't.
Okay.
They can't fit
them. When you say that things have changed,
keeping those other guys, you can't fit them. And I'll tell you something else. Like I did say on the pod that Vegas tried to take a shot at Rasmus Anderson and didn't get him. I had people tell me they have not finished trying to do that.
Wow, they're savages over there.
Yeah.
Did you learn of the potential 8 years while you've been on the phone with us?
No. I heard rumors about it. Like, again, it's fun. You know how it goes, right? Like you say something on a podcast and everybody calls you and tells you everything you get wrong.
That
was one of the things that people told me. They say it might not be 4 years.
It'd be easier if they told me what I got right. And save themselves a lot of time.
Now that our Leaf, can we end our Leaf talk and get to the real team and talk a little Florida Panthers? And obviously Bennett just signed a nice deal. He deserves every penny of that. But the big thing that everyone is wondering is, are they going to be able to get Marchand and Ekblad back there?
It's like Bennett was the big one, no question. That was the guy they had to get done. And Bennett, to his credit, got an extra $1 million, and I think they initially wanted to give $1 million a year, right? Like they initially they offered him for Haig's deal, which is a great deal, but Bennett outplayed that. So that's an extra $1 million that Florida gave up that they got to squeeze out from elsewhere, right? I had heard the likelihood was 1 Bennett, 2 Marchand, 3 Ekblad. Like I heard they really had to work. Because I think what Ekblad, even for 7 years, if he goes free, Keith, the number he could get compared to the number that the Panthers could give him, even in a no-tax state, there was a difference. So I always heard that was going to be the toughest one. The Marchand one, I think he wants to stay, Keith. I really do. I think he wants to stay there. But again, when you've got secret $9.5 million offers out there, like that's
enticing.
This is all planned to get him somehow to Toronto.
Like if he's got, like, let's just say for argument's sake, he's got 4 times 9.5 out there, 5 times 8. Like that's $38 to $40 million. Florida's going to have to be creative to get anywhere close to that. I think he wants to stay.
What about Boston? What about Boston, Elliotte?
I don't know. Like, do you see it?
No, I don't. What I see is I see him getting screwed over in his mind and all the fans' mind by the Bruins. He goes down, he wins a cup. I see him being like, now I'm going to stay here. I was on 2 teams. I got at least 2 cups, one with both, probably more realistically if he stays in Florida. That makes the most sense to me. Now, he's always been underpaid. Is it his time to be like, I don't really want to take another deal? Like, that's the question.
On top of the fact he could be, if he's in Toronto, the most marketable player in the NHL. He's got his 2 cups. You're rolling your eyes, buddy, but like he could probably, with how funny he is in commercials and stuff like that, like change the culture there.
That's not true.
He could probably make an extra $3 million on top of the $9 million that they would offer him. Like bringing in $12 million Canadian, or in Canada a year, excuse me.
Keith made this about the Leafs no longer. And
but
you're
they're
bringing
part
them
of
back.
the 3 teams in on the mix, Elliotte.
You made up the lie.
Elliotte, if you had a pie chart and it said Toronto, Boston, Florida, and then other, where would the percentages be as far as re-signing? Yes, let's play this game.
Great question.
You know what? I think, first of all, do you guys remember Kevin Miller, the Bruins defenseman who Marchand
Killer
had a
Miller.
partnership with? Does he live in Utah now?
Does he really? They did a hunting show together, didn't they, on Nesson?
So I heard that Utah was really in on Marchand. Like, they wanted Marchand badly. And we're doing this. I don't. Someone told me that Kevin Miller lives in Utah.
He does. I'm getting word he does, Elliotte.
And Marchand doesn't post on Instagram, but when he does, it's all hiking shit.
Try telling Kevin Miller that he tampered, and he'll throat slash you so quick.
Yeah, seriously.
He's getting fined with biz. Well,
hiking and hunting is a thing that he's very interested in. So that makes sense, Utah.
They own a company together, Elliotte. March and Mill Company. It's a hunting merchandise company, and they make content together, and he lives in Utah. Wow.
So it was funny because I said, like, I heard I said I heard that Utah was really interested in him, and they have the flexibility to do it. And someone said to me, well, I think Kevin Miller lives there. So maybe Kevin Miller's Utah sleeper agent getting him to go out there.
Does he get a jacket?
And Ryan Smith's looking to make a splash.
Oh,
like he's itchy.
I don't. I was bad at math, biz. I'll just say this. I think someone's going to have to give him a reason to leave Florida. I really do. You're going to have to give him a reason to leave Florida. I just always heard, like with Ekblad, I heard they made him one offer last year at this time, and it was really low, and they hadn't talked really all year. And then he comes and he has an unbelievable playoff, like the best hockey of his career. He's a great player. And I like right-hand shot D out there. You're either the top guys, you're either trading for Rasmus Anderson, and that's going to be really expensive, or Aaron Ekblad just costs you money. So I think teams out there know that they can make an offer that's at least going to make Ekblad think. And that's why I think it was always going to be harder for Florida to get him done. Even though
couldn't have had a better playoff for the three guys that are in the mix for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for Ekblad too in Florida, if it's on them not wanting to sign him, like Forsling would be a different player without him. It's like you get a guy that you're comfortable with, you know their tendencies, like they're so good together. They've shut down the best player in the world the last 2 years in the final, sorry. And it's like those to me are the signings you have to get done. Like whether it's gonna cost you a little bit more, but I think Eki, if he goes to the free agent market, he's getting, like Dobson just got 9. He could easily get 9.
No,
I don't know. I don't know if he'll get 9 because he doesn't score as much as Dobson. Like scoring pays, right? You know, but I'll say this, like, on a 7-year deal, he's gonna get a huge number. Yeah,
he's gonna get 50.
He's gonna get at least, like,
I thought it'd be 7.5. Yeah, 52. Yeah,
7.5 to 8 at least. So if you're like, that's and you might even have to go higher. Like, let's just say they're offering him Forsling's money, right? Which is 8 times 575.
That's ridiculous.
Let's just say they're doing that. Okay. So that's what, 46 million. So think about what you're going to have to do on 7 years to make him go out of there. And I think they're going to be teams that do it, because they'll say, if we win with Ekblad in the first 3 or 4 years, because his body's been through so much, we'll deal with the rest.
Give Buffalo Sabres fans reasons to, I don't know, look forward to the season, want to remain fans when, no offense at all, I think Josh Doan could be a very solid player in the NHL, same with Kesselring, but Peterka was a little bit of a game changer at times, and a guy also that you could see fitting in with Ryan O'Reilly and Brandon Montour and Sam Reinhart and all these people who played there and then went on to win. Yeah, well, like their hand got forced there. He didn't want to play there anymore. He wanted to be traded, and so they Kevin Adams, I think he just felt he had to make the move, right? And that was a really tough one, because Peterka was a real favorite, especially of the owner. Like Pegula really loved Peterka. So that was a really hard one. But
there's been so much negativity around Buffalo. I think they just said, we can't have this. We have to move away from it. The thing is, too, they have a lot of really talented players, and they have a lot of good young players coming. So I think they kind of look at it as, we might be able to get by this. I'll say this, too, and I mentioned this also on our pod. I had someone tell me 6 weeks before the trade happened that one of his guarantees of the summer was that Buffalo was going to trade for Kesselring. They said that they had identified that guy as a guy they thought could play with Owen Power and really help Owen Power, and they were determined to find the right partner for Power this year. So it's not, I think they had that guy like, this is on our short list of guys we have to get, and I think that's one of the reasons they made that deal.
And then does that kind of make the Samuelson buyout make more sense?
Well, I don't know if that one's going to happen. You know, like the same rumors were there last year, and Kevin Adams was as annoyed about those rumors last year as he is this year.
Okay.
And the reason that it's big is this is the last year you can do it for 1/3, Paul, because after this year he turns 26. Right. I don't know. Like, I look at their D, and I'm not sure as we do this that they're going to deal Byram. They don't have a bad D.
No. Well, on paper.
And they just drafted 8 more.
On paper.
Well, that guy's
another monster.
Away. That guy's a while away, but
yeah.
Which
I think fans are like, all right, we have a bunch of big D. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of what I was reading.
I would take Adams at his word. Like, he always fights about the idea. For 2 years now, he's fought against the idea they're going to buy out Samuelson.
Why would the Blues want to trade Jordan Kyrou?
His no trade kicks in Tuesday. So you lose the leverage.
Surprising name for me to hear. Like, that's a young, fast, skilled
scorer.
He's made advancements.
That is like, there's a story behind that.
He's made his advancements as an all-around, like, well-rounded player. Like, compared to where he was, like 2-3 years ago, I would have understood it a little bit more. But just with the success and the chemistry brewing there, I was surprised to hear it too, Whit.
I heard they were a little bit disappointed in his playoffs this year. You know, Doug Armstrong, he likes hard hockey.
Yeah, he does.
You know, but, you know, I think the other thing now, and I do think there was some legit talk. Armstrong said the other day, basically, if you've got a good center, I'll look at it. That's why I think Seattle was in on it, because they got a lot of young centers, and also they could have drafted one. St. Louis could have with the 8th overall pick. Like, I do think if Kyrou had been dealt to Seattle, that 8th overall pick was going to be in the deal. That was one of the things I heard. But also too now, guys, it's 8 million is what Kyrou is. As the cap goes up for a guy who can score
35, 40 maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be so quick to move that player. You can build toughness around him, and he can always improve as a guy. I don't know if I'd be so quick to move him.
I agree with you. I agree.
Unless he wants out, but like it doesn't seem like that's the case.
I don't think so. I don't like. We always hear like Peterka, even though the Sabres didn't want to talk about it, we heard that he wanted out. Spence from the Kings, they didn't admit it till the other day when he was traded. We heard that he wanted out. I mean, if Kyrou wants out, I haven't heard that.
Who would you say the undercover top 3 teams are for free agency, like making a splash here?
Carolina, Ehlers. Like with Marner off the board, depending on the Florida guys, like Ehlers is the biggest name out there, right? Carolina, I think they really want that guy.
But then they don't really address what they need. They just keep getting like small, fast guys.
Yeah, I think though the one thing is they had trouble scoring too, right, Biz? And he can score. He hasn't scored always in the playoffs.
He hasn't. Yeah, I think he's got 13 playoff goals.
I'll say this, like he's always said, put me on the first line and I will do something. And Carolina's a team that can give him a chance. Carolina, I think teams like Columbus and Anaheim would also be in on him. So like teams that want, like Carolina's got a lot of money to spend and they want to spend it. Anaheim's got money to spend. They want to spend it. the thing is, like, I'm wondering, so we've got Gavrikov, we think is probably going to the Rangers. So who are you, like, Marner looks like he's going to be off the board here. Like we said, we're waiting for the Florida guys. There's Ehlers. There's
Besser.
Besser's an interesting one because it sounds like the Kings might be keeping Kuzmenko on a short-term deal, and I thought that might be where Besser ends up. But Besser, I know Mike's listening. I can see Besser being on Boston's radar among a couple other teams there. Besser, I heard, like, a lot of guys chase warm weather. I heard Besser's not necessarily going to be one of them. Like Boston, Minnesota, teams like that. He's not fazed by that kind of thing.
Are we going to see, and we've talked about the option of offer sheets, and now Nyes is off the board. Great deal. We didn't even pump business tires yet. Amazing to get that under 8. Tavares at 4-4, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Who else? Not necessarily names who could be offer sheeted, but is that going to become a thing?
I'll say this: so with Nyes, one of the concerns was I've had teams tell me they do not want to use the 2026 first on offer sheet because of
The draft.
McKenna. Like, you do not want to be the guy that loses Gavin.
Imagine
McKenna
missing out on that.
Lose your job.
Yeah.
They think he's generational, like the McDavids, like the Crosbys.
Yeah. Well,
Yakupov.
I don't like to compare anyone to those guys, but the guy's a hell of a player. Like, he's a great player. I've had teams outright tell me I am not risking that first round pick next year. You know, it's interesting to see. Will Cooley is a guy who might not, like, you basically have to be just under 4.7 to avoid a first rounder. And, you know, Chris Drury with the Rangers, I've heard that everything he's talked about has been math. I have to make sure I have the right math. So Drury clearly is aware that someone could target a guy like Cooley. The thing for me is Evan Bouchard. I'm not convinced he's going to get an offer sheet because, again, it's that you're going to have to give up that next year's number one. Exactly. So that's the thing I know that's terrifying people is that they don't want to give up that number one next year. As you read Larry Brooks, and Larry's really plugged into the Rangers. Like, Cooley is the kind of guy. Obviously, the Blues thought Hofer was the kind of guy that could be a problem. They locked him up. I'll tell you another name I heard that could be a good offer sheet guy, but I heard he's probably getting signed, is Jack McBain from Utah. Like a big center.
Yeah, he's tough. He's a piece of shit to play against, too. He's heavy.
Like those guys win in the playoffs. And I heard he was likely going to get signed, but that was another name like a few weeks ago. People said to me, like, I've heard Mason McTavish, like a lot of people love Mason McTavish, but again, it's that first round pick next year. It really scares teams.
I'd be interested to know your thoughts on the new CBA. Where do you think the owners won? Where do you think the players won? And what do you think maybe got lost in the middle where it should have just been better for both?
You know, I'll tell you this. I don't like, just as a fan or media member, I don't like some of the restrictions on trades. Like that thing with the double retention.
Yeah, why'd they do that?
Because the league didn't like, okay, so just for people who aren't familiar with what we're talking about, you'd see a lot of trades where a guy with a big salary, he'd get traded twice. So the first team would retain 50% and the second team would retain 25%. You can't do that anymore unless you wait 75 days. So Keith, for example, if your big salary was getting traded from Phoenix to the Rangers, and they wanted to put it through two teams, you would have to be traded from Phoenix somewhere, play there 75 days, and then go to the Rangers. That's like, just as a fan of trades, I didn't like that one.
Yeah, why don't they want the entertainment aspect
because the
of
league
it?
thought that was cap circumvention.
Circumcision.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's what we call it on this podcast.
The other one that was big is the playoff LTIR. Like, they really hammered that one, and they did two things. First of all, your 20 players have to be under the cap. Like, your overall roster can be whatever, but the 20 players you dress have to be under the cap. But there's a second twist that I didn't see coming, and basically what it is. So this year, Kachuk let's use him. $9.5 million cap hit. He's on LTIR for the rest of the regular season. From here on in, any team that wants to use a player's full cap hit over approximately $4 million, and I'll get to that in a second, you have to declare that guy out for the rest of the season, including the playoffs. So if you
can't. So Florida wouldn't have had Marshawn and Jones if Tkachuk was playing any games.
If Florida wanted to declare that they were going to use all that cap room, they would have had to say Tkachuk is not playing the rest of this year, including playoffs.
Why $4 million?
So basically the exception now is going to be the previous year's average annual salary. This year's average salary in the league is around $4 million. So if you're under that, you're fine. But if you're a Tkachuk, like a 9.5, your cap is going to be that number.
Wow.
That's the bigger change they've made.
Do you agree with it or do you not like it?
No, I like in my fantasy football, I'm like the biggest loophole finder in my league. So I love that stuff. But you know what? Hey, like the league and the players signed off on it. Like they agreed. But I mean, you guys saw the contracts are a year shorter. There's less of a percentage on signing bonuses year to year. I think and you guys were all around for this, so you guys can talk about it. I remember one of the things the players got here was, the players had to pay their own workman's comp. The players had to pay the payroll costs. The players had to pay some things that came out of their own share that I remember some players years later grumbled and said, we shouldn't be paying for that. The owners shouldn't be paying for that. That stuff got moved into the owner's share. They have told the players, and some players did really agree that is a win for us. And it's the same thing as taking escrow down a few percentage points. I think most people feel that, look, they're making more money than ever. The revenues are higher than ever. That's what the players care about the most. I think a lot of these other points, like on contracts, the league and the owners won pretty big. But I do think what they convinced the players who voted on it that were kind of the executive committee was that we're no longer paying for some things we shouldn't have to pay for that we did pay for.
Now, does that, obviously COVID was a different situation, one we've never seen before. So actually the players got dinged more because of lost revenue. Yeah. Is there now a protection with the players? It's 50-50 if something like that happens. It doesn't matter that the owners have to eat that if something like that happens.
Well, you know what? The thing is, Biz, is that basically did happen in COVID. Like the players for a while were making like 70. That's why the cap didn't go up all those years because they owed the money back. Honestly, I don't have a good answer for you on that one. I just hope it never happens again.
I just think where the franchise values are at, it should be a risk that they assume. It's them. Like, why should the players assume that? And especially given that the fact that they seem to be forking over little by little these other things, like, okay, one less year guaranteed on those the contracts, like the 7 as opposed to 8 years. And then if that's not your team, it's 6 years as opposed to 7. It just feels like the owners keep chipping away on that type of stuff, including also the players not getting any money from the expansion fees. Like that
I don't think that's ever going to happen, Biz.
I know I get it.
What about
but that's my argument.
$10 million to the league, to the players. Like they're getting $2 billion.
They'll argue the players get 46 jobs.
That's where I see it's business, okay, that's fine. We're not going to bitch about that. But if there's any emergency that happens where all of a sudden the revenues aren't where they are, it shouldn't be covered by the players for the next 5 years because COVID happened. Like, fuck you. Your franchise is $1 billion. Like, we shouldn't be on the hook for this. Pay me my fucking money, bitch.
That's how we do it.
Right?
That's how we do it. That's why he's getting suspended by the league.
Oh, I can't wait till they go through your phone.
Yeah.
That would be just. All right. I know we've kept you, but I gotta ask.
I would love to see. I would love to see the visual of Gary Bettman looking through Biz's phone. That would be the best. That would be the best.
Hey, good. You teed me up for my final one for you.
I've never seen this word before.
Yeah. He dropped a couple big ones, 4 or 5 syllables.
Or that body part.
We got to get this guy off the desk. putting me in a mental pretzel. What do you make of the state tax thing? Do you think it's something that will change? Jans is shaking his head like I don't know if I've talked to you about this. In 5 years from now, when the cap's at like 130, 140 million, do you not think it'll be more of a problem based on the inflation number compared to what the actual cap is going up?
I asked a lot of people about this, Biz, and I think that what they agreed on, first of all, I'll say this. I am amazed at how sensitive Bettman is about it to you and at that press conference the other day.
Why do you think I asked him?
I mean, I look at it, I'm like, he is so smooth that gets under his skin.
I'm going to ask him that every year at the finals now.
But
same thing.
I asked around and I said, like, why do you guys seem so determined not to deal with this? And they said to me that if you look before this CBA, Boston, high tax team, Kings, high tax team, Pittsburgh a little better, Chicago a little bit better, but not no tax teams. All those teams dominated the 2010s, and none of them were no tax states. And they said, okay, last few years, Tampa, Florida, Vegas, yes. But they said, you've got to give us more than, and the other thing too is like, that's a really big issue to fix. Like that's going to take a lot of planning and thinking. And I think right now things are in such a good space that they just said, we don't need to complicate this. And it's only been 5 years. Now, if it's 5 more years and it's not soon enough for Hockey Night in Canada and the people and the fans I deal with, but I think if it stays like this for 5 more years, then we'll see if they might have to deal with it.
If you had to guess 5 years from now, do you think it would be something that they would address if it continues to escalate the way that the cap has?
It is like, you guys know players. I think it's crazy that anybody would say that the players don't care about this stuff. Of course they do. Of course.
Yeah, I mean,
I think over this time, they're going to have to come up with some ideas at least. Like, I'll tell you one idea that someone gave me that I thought it was a good idea was that, because the only time it really matters is in UFA. That's the only place where you really have the freedom to pick, is that I think you should look only at UFA contracts. Only if someone goes as a UFA and picks to go somewhere, if you're going to a higher tax place, you should get a break.
I love that idea. I fucking love that. Or I'm going to go to the province of Ontario and I'm going to put a big thing together to make it no provincial tax.
Parliament. You're going to Parliament. I've been there though, Biz. Listen to Whit. Listen to Whit.
To Parliament?
No, you've only been to the airport.
No, after being at the airport, I was represented at Parliament.
Maybe I'll get that guy to help me with my pitch deck to go in front of Parliament. I'm not great with speeches. That might come as a surprise to you guys, or anything of like, you know.
I mean, Rob Ford got elected. You'd be fine in Toronto.
That's true. That is true. He's a fan favorite.
You got anything else for this guy? I got one more.
Did you see his documentary, Elliotte?
Unbelievable.
I don't have to watch it. I lived it.
I didn't know that half the public was convinced that he wasn't actually smoking crack. That was an amazing part of the doc. They're interviewing guys like, that was a fake video.
Jaded.
Go Leafs, go. Go Leafs, go.
Yeah.
Argonauts are up by 7.
I'm just hitting a different pipe. That's it. Me and Stevie Bong Rips, Mr. Decentralized.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah. What else you guys got? Elliotte, thank you so much for your time. You're a fucking legend, dude.
I know. You're so busy, buddy. This is unreal.
No worries, guys. Well, hopefully this all stands up for first thing in the morning.
That's all right. Either way, we got to catch up.
We don't get too many things right here.
No. Yeah. That's why you should that's what we're saying. Just as Biz said, make things up. And you're like, oh, I knew I was getting it wrong. I just created it out of thin air. And one of those, that leads me into my question. Biz has tried to create Crosby to the Avs, but then the Avs trade Wood. they trade Coyle. They're not re-signing Drouin. Yep. Like, why? That's what created the recent.
I did not spark up the new one. I'm not doing that anymore. I retired from doing that.
No, I did not. This one was not on me. No. I'll like that was a Weeksy tweet. You know, it's so funny when Weeksy tweets. Sometimes I have to figure out what city is that. It's like
I know
it's a tough skyline.
I always know right away. that was not me. And look, I just think it's going to be a fact of life because so many people want to see Crosby go somewhere else. I'll tell you what I was told this morning. Like, first of all, I don't think there was any truth to this one on the weekend. I was told this morning that every time that happens, it makes it harder to get Crosby to think about it because he doesn't like the.
That's why Nate shut it down.
So
That's
then
why
fucking
Nate
Penguins
shut it
fans
down.
should be kissing my ass. Instead of writing fuck yous online. I got some of their beat reporters coming after me, but I will say I have retired from sparking those up. This was not me this time. I didn't do it. Even Nathan McKinnon commented on our Instagram saying fake news, and he was on his bachelor party. So he even took the time to put out the fires. So I'm not doing that
some
anymore.
bachelor parties on Instagram.
But if he did leave, it's almost like a Ray Bork situation in my mind, like where that. Like Pittsburgh would root for him no matter what.
100%. And nobody would have a problem with it.
Okay.
Nobody would have a problem with it. Nobody.
It's all depends on whether he wants to be on one team or not his whole career. What do you say?
He's
I said like when McDavid leaves.
He's just his idiot.
What do you actually, Elliot?
McDavid signing an extension, Elliot. Break that news.
I just got a note that McDavid has a $20 million offer a year that he doesn't know about yet. That's what's going on.
Yeah. From Ska.
Biz is tweeting that for sure. Right after this.
Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you thought we would bring up or any important news that you should talk about on here? And
no, I think you guys got everything. I think you did.
AKA he's done with us.
Yeah, he's done. Actually, final thing. So is your phone always on? Is there a panic while you're sleeping? And then finally, like July 2nd or 3rd, are you done for a month?
I don't have to do anything for like 7 weeks. Obviously if something big happens, I'll try to be around on it. I do try to give my family a bit more time.
Nice
so I took the red eye home on Saturday night from LA. And so Sunday I got home at Saturday in the morning and I took a nap for a couple hours and I woke up and my wife, she was looking at me and she was just rolling her eyes because I fell asleep with like my phone, like on my chest, like this with my hand on it. So I could feel it buzz or something like that. And she's like, this is so pathetic. It's pretty funny.
You know what I think they should do? I mean, you were at the draft. A lot of people bitching about maybe the length of time and other than the Schaefer one, maybe the interaction between player and GM. I feel like next year, if they want to make it that long and still have the GMs involved, the fans get to grill the GMs for 5 minutes after they make the pick. It could be whatever too. It could be about maybe the prior season trades. Do you think that would maybe spice things up if they want to keep that?
I would definitely pay to see some of those interactions.
Sweeney?
Like, actually, you know what? Like Yzerman, it would just be the best.
Oh.
Some Red Wings fan went up there.
Do you think Yzerman's feeling the heat a little bit? I feel like he got a little snarky in his postseason presser.
I think also too, though, but like the guy wants to win, right? Like he's like the ultimate cutthroat, right? Like he's the ultimate competitive guy. Like I'm sure he's feeling pressure because the organization wants to do well, but he cannot stand to lose. It's going to be driving him crazy too.
All right. Well, we won't ask you anything else, buddy. You're a legend. You look great. The tan's unbelievable. The hair's
enjoy
not
some
as
downtime.
Crazy as it normally is, man. You look 30 years younger when they're not making you work 20-hour days.
He finally got a nap and got yelled at by his wife. Shocker. Someone told me that they did a study where women's, when they have their most anxiety is when their husband or a significant other is laying down on the couch.
Yeah, I could see that. We definitely contributed to that study.
That's weird.
I know.
That's a weird stat. It's like you made it up.
I did.
That's
Marchand to Florida. And Ekblad.
Take care, boys.
Elliot, you're the best. Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Imagine how many times a day do you think he's thrown? I'm on what percentage right now on my phone? 11%. Didn't charge it last night. He probably has to charge his phone all day, every day.
He's got the battery pack case with another the one that you can carry around and just
in his holster, like in his belt loop.
He's got a generator, someone like just carrying behind him, like a big ass generator.
Him and other insiders want to draw bang how quickly they can recharge their phone as their weapon.
He's got like a graduation cap, but it's got a solar panel top.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why he didn't have that hat on.
Buddy, yeah, that's got to be nuts. Just sitting around, and having to make that many phone calls. He has to call people a lot, dude. They're not just calling him.
And be so precise about what he's saying all the time. Like on his pod, he has to verbalize it and not because he's going to get texts from these GMs aren't fucking texting us. If anything, Toronto's
they're
probably
suspending you.
They're probably like, we have nothing to do with this fucking loser.
Yeah.
The last regime accidentally sent him an ambassador jacket, and we want nothing to do with him. We're a few more tweets from putting up the restraining order. But I don't know if we really dove into it, but a couple clicks for JT, John Tavares, for taking that hometown discount and setting the example. I feel like that's the type of guy who can not only read a room, but when he got the C taken away, he acted like a class act, did the press conference, handed it over in such a classy gesture to Austin, made it easy on him for that. I don't even think like he might have been slightly overpaid throughout the contract, but I think based on leadership wise and the fact that it didn't dip off as nearly as much as people thought, I was shocked to see him take that much of a discount, but I'm happy he did. I think he set the example. I think Nyes looks stupid if he gets even more greedy than what he got. And I just really think it set the tone. And I think it's a round of applause for both guys for Toronto, keeping those numbers down and giving them an opportunity to, hey, maybe they're able, if they go and they actually do get Brad Marchand, let's say they give him 4 times 9. And I know some people think that's absolutely crazy, but they do lock him in. You couldn't have dreamed of a better offseason for them.
No, I agree. And I hate to say it. That's with Marchand. So far, it's definitely a changing of the guard looking afar at the Leafs, where there was zero nickel and diming. That's what the players have bent the team over. Good for them, but they've bent them over for a while now. And now it was like, oh my God, like Tavares is taking way less. No Leafs fan thought that would be his number. Everyone's like, we're looking at over 8, maybe over 9, at around 9 at least. So that came in. It's like, wow, something different here. Now, if they don't get Marchand, they still have to replace 100 points. So I'm not going to be like jumping over the moon with you like candles.
I don't think that's the way you need to look at it. I think you need to look at it like we have $11 more million that we can address our needs with.
But you got to address them. That's what he's saying. Like getting a Marchand, you have to address them.
Yeah. I get Nylander and Tavares and Matthews can carry that and Nyes can carry that team offensively. But to win, there need to be another piece.
Yeah, yes, to be a home run this offseason for sure. But you still would have that money left going into next year. That team could stay afloat the way it is, and then you have the room to make the moves at the deadline. Like that.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. All right.
True. I agree. Right now, to see those two deals, I would be fired up if I was you.
Yeah,
I really
100%.
would be.
Thank you.
We're going to the quick hits now. We didn't bring up to Elliotte, but after what seems like, I think, 3 years of this, or hearing this, John Gibson's been traded from the Ducks. Detroit grabbed him. Detroit grabbed him.
I still don't believe it.
I know. I mean, how long were people saying this guy was going to get traded?
4 years.
Right? Yeah, it's like at some point it had to get done. You mentioned the pressure Stevie Y's maybe facing. Goaltending hasn't been good enough. I don't know what type of goalie he still is going to be, right? Like, I don't know if you're necessarily getting like a true number one. He was in the past, but they had to do something. Apparently, like, was Elliotte saying, or I heard him say earlier, maybe on his pod or on a clip, that Mrazek they basically couldn't find. I think he had like no cell phone on him, so it was like taking a while. But you have to think Gibson is fired up to, just after all those years of hearing it, move on.
You're saying that Mrazek was just like maybe like on a fishing trip with the boys, and he just wasn't.
I forgot to ask Elliotte. I think so. It was like, we're going no phones on this trip. I would love to do that. I think it's way harder than it sounds, but I would love to do that.
Let Jesus take the wheel.
You come back and you're just like, oh, I've been traded to Anaheim. I'm never bringing my phone anywhere again. This is unbelievable.
Isn't that Carrie Underwood?
I'm living in Newport Beach now. I was
Jesus
in
take the
Detroit.
wheel.
But wait, I think if he was, if Anaheim still considering him like a true number one, like a guy that can win you a Stanley Cup, they probably wouldn't have traded him. So it's got to be one of those things where it's kind of, they've seen enough of it where they're willing to trade him. Obviously, Detroit needs a goalie. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then, Detroit needs a goalie, and, hopefully a change of scenery for him can kind of respark where he is. Because when he came in the league, he was one of those, I think he was a first rounder, right? We were talking earlier, or a high pick anyways. And he was the guy for a while that it was like, okay, we got Gibson, you can, chalk
39th overall. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
it's
that's
a good
high
years,
pick.
dude.
Oh yeah.
15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, he's 920, 924, 926. Goals against 207, 222, 243. Things have changed a little, so that's where the numbers have, but the team's that much worse all those years.
Yeah.
So, a lot to prove. He's only 31. So, I like it. I'm happy for him. Biz, your guy, Claude Giroux, re-signed in Ottawa.
No brainer.
There were, I know. There were.
You're kind of seeing these older, like Jamie Benn, JT. Like, yeah, I like seeing that. I don't want to see those guys in different jerseys. I feel like Claude Giroux's from there. And
how happy are the sticky bandits in Ottawa who keep stealing his car that he stayed? They're just licking their chops outside of his house. We got 9 more cars.
Maybe we should open up our own dealership. This guy's a fucking moneymaker. If I was him, just to spite him, I'd be driving around like a 1985 station wagon with the wood
That's
panel.
what you do anyways, though. Not to spite anyone.
I know, but if I were him, I would do what I do.
Oh.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you mentioned the Jamie Benn one. They can make a ton in bonuses, similar to Taves. I don't think they could make that much. But, I think if Jamie Benn wanted to stay in Dallas, it would be something like that. I'm sure Giroux would have had a lot of options. But yeah, they made the playoffs. They finally got, over that hurdle. He's from there. That made total sense to me. The Oilers boys, Trent Frederick, monster deal. 3.85 a year, 8-year contract. Maybe one of the, no, because it can happen this year, but will be one of the few last 8-year contracts we see in quite some time. But yeah, Biz, you're shaking your head a little bit. If he was hurt when he got over there. Okay.
Oh, I'm not. I was just kind of shaking it where getting ready to say this is one that could be a major hometown discount, or just a guy where you're at a number where, let's say he becomes a 10 goal, 10 assist, third, fourth liner where you're not really catching much heat in the newspaper. So I feel like it's a good number, but I feel like this is also could turn into like a Wayne Simmons type deal, where you're looking in years 4 through 8, like, oh my God, I might have left like 20 total throughout the course of the deal on the table.
You think so? Oh, so you think highly?
I don't know, man. If you're a 15 guy 4 years from now, you're probably making $6 million, $7 million.
Yeah, and he had back-to-back 17, 18 goals years, and he adds in, like, he'll run you over in a fight.
That's what I mean.
That's why I kind of thought you were going to take it almost as like, what's this deal? But I like it. I like it. And
I would love it as a fan. I think it's a no risk situation as a fan. Yeah. I feel like you're buying extremely low on the fact that he had a tough playoff due to his injury. But my understanding is if Boston would have offered him 8 years at $4 million, he would have taken it. So I was a little shocked that Boston didn't see him I think they would have done a shorter term deal is what I heard, where he seems like a type of guy you would want to make part of your extended core, especially at a team-friendly deal at $4 million. He's put up those goal amounts that you said, and like, fuck, like, yeah, I don't know. I found it weird that they would get rid of that asset for that longer term. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah, and he just seems like a Bruins type of player, too, like what they've kind of built on. But yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for him. Gets some security, long-term deal, especially for those type of players too. Usually don't see those 8-year deals. So definitely happy for him. And like you guys said, as a fan too, you got to be happy.
talk about being happy for a guy. He came on during a stream. I think it was a Colorado-Dallas game. But Connor Garland, buddy, gets a bag 6x6. Ever since he's gone to Vancouver, like that was just a different style, different player than we saw. And I think he told us about his minutes being decreased in he was in Phoenix, correct? Right before that.
Yep.
Goes to Vancouver, and that's a guy who you want on your team. Like, I love watching him play. Way better offensively than you think, while also just being like a dirt dog. He's always in the mix. 6x6. I thought that was fair for him and the team.
Yeah, unreal. Couldn't be happier for him. And, you know, like we were talking about earlier about Mangiapane, like those small guys that get in the dirty areas and fight for goals, like a Brandon Gallagher, and they're tough to come by, and you need them on your team. And he's found a place in Vancouver where he seems to be happy. He's like we know him. He's a rink rat, like always at the rink. He's always going to be working on himself, getting better every single summer. So great deal for him. Couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, they need a little stability there. Apparently, he's good buddies with Quinn Hughes. The guys in the locker room love him. As the cap goes up, he's making 5% now of the cap. I believe as his new deal kicks in, it'll be about 5% too. And he competes. That's it. Like, I have no problem when you pay a guy who competes night in, night out. He gets in opponents' faces. He draws penalties. He can score. He can make plays. He forechecks. And I think he's been a great Vancouver Canuck. And to see where it went a few years ago, where it sounded like he was requesting a trade, to now he's being extended for another amount of time. It's pretty cool. Great turnaround. And man, when it's all said and done, he would have made some pretty good money. Probably $70 million by the time he's done.
Like Keith, sitting on that beautiful couch in Nantucket, laughing at all of us, Biz. Well, particularly you, because you might get suspended by the league for tampering for your favorite team and lose your jacket. But
the jacket's already gone.
Should I just send the jacket back to prove that?
Yeah. Put it in a nice.
I don't even think
box.
they want it. Just throw it out.
You know who I might send it to is Hockey Illuminati.
No,
Just-
Biz.
What do you mean? I sent it to him as a gift.
I mean, it's a ambassador's jacket to an Original Six franchise. You can't just be sending it. You're lucky you got it. You can't be sending it to somebody else.
Well, where should I send it?
Either
home.
back to them or to the trash can, and never to be seen again.
To Toronto, to the offices of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and say, I'm sorry I even took this in the first place. Hang it back up, give it to somebody who really deserves it, and then from there, you're scotch free. You're out of it.
How
You're
about
like,
this? How about we ask the fans?
Is it scotch free or scot free?
I
Both.
think I just said scotch. I couldn't. It's
Both.
definitely Scott.
Like the
Both.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely Scott. Maybe Scotch is on my mind. Thinking of being in
butterscotch.
Nantucket with you.
Maybe
Scotch.
Let's ask the fans. Let's do a Twitter poll. Do I keep the jacket? Do I give it back to the Leafs? Do I give it to Hockey Illuminati? Or option like what it would be? D. What would
Sell
be like
it.
other?
Sell it.
You know what's
Sell it
funny
to
is
Illuminati.
picturing
Get
him at
Wendell to sign
FedEx.
it.
They're like,
Brian.
do you want to pay for overnight? He's like, how much is that? They're like $85. He's like, I'll go with like the 2-week delivery, please.
Oh, he's billed to sender. He's billed to sender. Like they're gonna get a bill when they receive that jacket. He ain't paying for the FedEx.
No, bill to sender would be him though. He's the sender.
Bill to whatever it is.
Boys, I think we can wrap it up. We have to mention Cup final vlog. If you haven't seen it yet, it's out.
Unbelievable.
I get
That was my favorite vlog of all time.
That vlog was so
Whit being in
fun,
fandom
but also
mode
brutal
was
to
so
watch
fun.
for me. What?
Like just seeing you in true fandom mode was fun as shit. But the guy that you were giving the high fives to, and then he had a Panthers
Jesse.
jersey on or whatever it was.
Oh, the guy that was rooting for the Oilers with the Panthers jersey on?
Yeah. And then he's like, no, I'm rooting for the Oilers, whatever he was. And he was high-fiving you all game. And then when they scored to tie it up after you guys mouth kissed, he's the one I gave the big high five to. So he didn't know who he was rooting for. That guy was
Double
beautiful.
dipping,
No,
baby.
he was saying
I
he
love
wanted good hockey. He didn't want a blowout. He wanted good hockey. And I was like, all right, yeah, but I know if we do tie this thing up, then I'm your enemy again. And sure as shit, he went back to, I was like, this guy's nuts. He was just with me the whole second period. But seeing Jesse say we're going back 2-2 hopefully, and then you just leaned on that.
He said hopefully?
He did say hopefully. He didn't lead off. He said he then was yelling. I said, I hope we go back 2-2. And I was like, what'd he say? I'm walking around the sweet hallway. I'm like,
it was the high five.
Pasha was such a rat. I didn't even hear him at the time say, how about that goal by Reinhardt? And I was, but he was following me around, asking me questions. And I'm like, what did he say? I thought I heard hopefully. And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't think he said anything. But that was just, seeing
was
how
that
I was
more
acting,
embarrassing fan mode than anything I did all season long?
Seeing how I was acting was the most cringe thing I've ever watched in my life.
That might have been worse than me lighting candles before Game 7 for the 4-4.
No, you did that on national television.
You
people
did that
can
in front of
choose to
10
watch
million
the
people.
vlog. People can choose to watch the vlog. We had to watch you do that. It was disgusting behavior.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. If you want to watch the broadcast, you had to watch you looking like an altar boy bending over for the Leafs to only get bent over by the Leafs. And so
look at the light shining in on him too.
Move your head over to the right a little bit.
Marchand has risen.
Hey. Listen, I still was not cringy watching myself after they won Game 4, though, because you could see, it was 30 minutes of getting tortured by fans after Game 3. And so after Game 4, I didn't care how I looked there, waving goodbye to everyone. One guy mooned me. Terrible.
I actually have a picture of it. I have a picture of it.
Giving it to you and about the pre-Sally into the bathroom. Who edited that? Pasha?
I don't know if it was Fishy or Pasha.
Between Pasha and Fishy, we got the two best
Fishy
editors in the world.
That was
good.
so funny. And
We love you
honestly,
guys.
that kid,
Thank
Nicky Smokes, I remember when he got back onto the van after Game 3, and I was just like, get shotgun. I was like, I haven't wanted to punch somebody like that maybe in my life.
And then he was just standing looking back the entire time.
And yeah. But it was good for him. He got on top again. But I was like, get this kid. I can't. And then G had I was like, why are we even inviting him on this bus? I can't deal with this kid anymore. So, real prick. But his team won. But a great vlog. Go check it out on our YouTube channel. Biz 414,000 subscribers.
Wow, we just hit 414. It was 413 when we showed up today. But by the time this podcast drops, with
you check
Elliotte
it out
Friedman,
once or twice a day. Just
Jason Gregor, and
he leaned over to me at the Ryder Cup. He's like, YouTube's popping right now. YouTube's popping. He's always checking. He knows what's up.
I think more and more people are watching and listening to our podcast on YouTube, and that's a testament to Fishy, G, and all the boys behind the scenes getting it done. I said this in the group text too, and I also mentioned it last podcast or 2 podcasts ago. The job that Game Notes has done, where they've brought in their game, their chemistry, the different elements of the game that they cover, whether it's draft, whether it's the NCAA. It's just been awesome to add to our team with beauties. So congrats to them. They had their final episode of the season last week, and that was the draft extravaganza. So some much deserved off time for them. It must be exhausting for Merles inventing literally everything all the time. But
there's rumors that he started the offer sheet stuff. There's now rumors going around that Merles invented offer sheets becoming a thing again.
You know what I think he did start the ball on, though, was not drafting defensemen under 6 foot.
Small D.
Because
he invented Big D, and that's legit.
He's a Swedish guy. He might have invented not taking any Finns in the first round.
What?
Yeah.
What? Merles? Yeah. God, I think might start a Cold War.
Merles is in the middle of that midsummer in northern Sweden, right? He is. I think it's light out till 3 a.m. I think
he sent us a buffet that he was having, I think, at his place, and
he was trying to brag.
I think he wasn't bragging.
I don't know if I would have eaten one thing off this buffet that he had.
That's such a slap in his face to his wife and all the family members that made that food.
It was a slap in the face that he sent that picture. I haven't eaten since.
Yeah, me neither.
But Merles will eat anything. He invented food.
Yeah, he really did.
It's sick.
What a guy.
Sick. The Game Notes guys are the best. All right, boys. We will see you next week. We'll be wrapping up free agency. Anything we missed, any big signings. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Have a great Canada Day and have a great 4th of July. Best time of the summer right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Love you, boys.
Canada, our home and
I'm leaving.
native land. That's all I know.